this computer, share screen. Now I lost it again. There we go. Okay. All right. So does everybody still have the big screen there with the hoof capsules?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Will somebody go to Facebook and see if that's doing the right thing there too for me?
Which page? The health page?
Either the mentor page or the health one, either one. Because I posted it on both of them.
I actually see 3.
Yeah, yes, Linda, it's doing it.
Okay.
On the mentor page.
I wonder why this thing is. Just a minute. New share. Hold on. Let's stop share for a second. Green share. More. Well, I don't know what's going on Facebook, but okay. I think I'm okay.
Yes, Facebook is okay now, Linda.
Okay. That's great. All right. So, okay. So, anyway, I got a collection of hoof capsules here and some other things. I might leave here for just a second to go get a better example of some of these. Okay, so I just want to talk about what correct anatomy would be in regards to how the hoof capsule connects to the foot. And we're going to talk the laminitis is when the lamina here, the sensitive lamina on the foot here, becomes disconnected from the lamina insensitive, what's called the insensitive lamina of the hoof capsule. Now here, this horse here, now this foot isn't going to be the exact size that I would need because it's kind of, well, okay, you see the sole on that, it's pretty thin, okay, but actually that would about fit on that one right there. Now that's how it's supposed to be connected. A tight fit between the lamina on the hoof capsule, which is biological tissue with blood and everything else in it. And then, but the lamina that is on the hoof capsule here is harder. It's the softest part of the hoof wall. And so they connect like this. Like here's your sensitive lamina and here's your hoof capsule soft wall, and they connect like this. And then they slide like this. See, the wall as it grows slides down this lamina here. And so everything's great, but you see how they have to be in perfect alignment there? You know, because as soon as, now this is shrunk up, so I can't make it exactly like it's supposed to be. So it's supposed to be like this, and then there's these horn tubules are supposed to be in alignment going back to here. You look at the lamina on here. Now it's a little bit different here, but see how they're all in parallel alignment? You know, you don't have one that's like this and then one that's like that. They have to be in alignment going all the way back. Consequently, all the horn tubules in the wall have to be the same way. And because these feet are a specific way with heel and stuff, there has to be a specific, let me see, what did I do with my pen? There has to be a specific form of support in the back of the foot to hold the foot up like this, because from here back is all soft cartilage and fat. And so this can move around all different kinds of ways. And so you have to have a specific configuration to the hoof capsule coming all the way back, and then back here, the heel buttress holding the back of the foot up to keep this thing all in alignment here. As soon as you lower this heel buttress, you see how that would change the angle? You know, see, here you would have uniform sole thickness, and you would have a heel buttress that grew right here, and it keeps all these lamina in alignment with the way the lamina are supposed to be. Well, let me find one here. This one ain't too bad. On the hoof capsule, see the alignment of the horn tubules? Okay, and the support back here. So that would be, this would mean that this hoof capsule with its internal lamina connected to the foot right here, that they are in weight-bearing equilibrium with one another. So this foot in this capsule, the lamina that's connected to it here, they're in weight-bearing equilibrium, up and down. As soon as you lower the heels, what happens? You've changed the weight and the way that these are bearing weight together. Now you have a situation where the foot is pulling against the lamina instead of like this, all being in unison and weight bearing. You have a situation where you've just changed that a little bit. And so then you have the foot pushing down like this, but it doesn't really want to. It wants to be up like this. You've created a situation where now they're pressing against, pulling against one another like this instead of like this. So that's why it's so in, this is where laminitis comes from. And I would say, in my opinion, that 99% of laminitis is mechanical, but that what happens is, because as long as the foot is, these two are in alignment, this internal lamina here, okay, and they're in alignment, they work together. As soon as you cut the heels out or the toe gets too long, see, that can happen too if the toe gets out here, then what's that doing? You got the foot pushing this way and the capsule wanting to push this way. See, the big long toe? So they're going like this. So the object and what we want to do is we want to make sure everything is realigned. Now, this coronary band here fits in what's called the coronary band groove here. When you have laminitis, you can have separation of the hoof wall here from the lamina on the foot, and it is in different degrees. Like it could be separated just to here, or it could be separated to here, or even to here, where you have this laminar, what's called the laminar wedge that develops in here, which is separation, you see, because you got this number going on. Slowly, you're getting this. And so as this is happening, once it gets up to here, that's when you're really in trouble. Okay, that's when, and I've heard other farriers say this too, as long as you don't have that separation and that laminar wedge that's clear up here into the coronary band, you can fix these feet. But once it gets up into the coronary band, well, they say you can't fix it, and I can understand why, but I'm also believing that at a future time, we're going to figure out the secret and we will be able to fix it. So I'm going to show you why it's so hard to fix once that rotation gets that long. And again, rotation, all right, it can be either from the heels being trimmed out, which compresses the foot and makes it want to pull this way. Well, here, shoves everything up under in here, which shoves these bones forward. Okay, now if I shove this, all this forward, what's going to happen to the coffin bone here? It's going to shove it back, right? Down that way. If I take and I push up in here, that's going to make this bone go that way and this bone go that way. So what's that do? That then presses this bone on to, let's see, that then presses the bone hard onto the bottom of the sole here and pulls it back that way. So, okay, so see, there's just a number of working parts here that you have to think about. If the foot was meant to be like this, but you've taken the whole back half of it here and shoved it under in here, well, these bones got to go somewhere. And that's when you start to see, usually the horse is standing like this too, but people don't know it because the capsule can look just like that. And you would think that the horse is standing like that in there, but in reality, a bunch of stuff is hidden and that horse could be standing like that in that capsule. And a lot of times this is exactly what's been happening to these horses for a long time. And that's why you'll see these x-rays where the tip of the coffin bone is worn off, you know, because the foot was rotating in there the whole time. And of course, this foot is rawhide, you know, I mean, it's all dried out, so I can't move it. But if it was a live foot, I could take and I could bend this part back this way, and I could bend and compress this part this way. That's when you get those can feet. You ever see those feet that are, the capsule looks just like a can, you know? Okay, so, all right, so this is supposed to be in weight bearing equilibrium. And when the heels are trimmed long or the toe gets long and grown out, it's no longer that way. It's no longer working together in unison. Then you got this situation, constant pull. All right, so that constant pull tears the laminae here. And the reason that a horse can adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt to one day you come out and your horse is doing the laminitis walk and you think, and the farriers think, and the vets think that this happened overnight, okay? Because horses adapt. And they will adapt and adapt and adapt through this wear and tear and injury, especially if they have shoes on, until finally something happens that the foot just can no longer hold together and the foot falls apart. And that's when you come out in the morning, your horse is dead lame and he got laminitis and you think it was because what you fed him the night before. And it's true that once this process starts, once this wear and tear, any time that this foot is not just in perfect alignment here, okay, and there's tearing going on, you're going to have inflammation. Anytime you have inflammation, you have pain. And so the horse finds that he is in a constant state of inflammation and pain in his feet that he has to live on 24/7. And so this also causes stress, and stress causes elevated blood sugar levels. And so the next thing you know, the horse is getting metabolic issues. But which came first? Did the metabolic issue come first? Not necessarily, because we already know from humans that stress can lead to all kinds of medical conditions, right? Okay, that's common. Oh, people say, well, how could that horse be stressed? Well, because of what's going on in his feet that he has to stand on 24/7. The tearing of the lamina and the constant inflammation creates a vicious cycle of stress and unhappiness in the horse that can lead to metabolic issues, just like it does with humans. Okay. You know, I'm a perfect example of that because when I was 35, I started getting horrible foot problems, and went to 3 or 4 foot doctors. And all those jerks did was give me a pedicure, $300 pedicure. One did give me foot inserts. They never diagnosed me or told me what was wrong with me. It took the internet to do that. And I can't even pronounce what was wrong with me, but I know it was plantar fasciitis or whatever you call it. Something really common. Now, why 3 foot doctors couldn't tell me what it was? One gave me a shot of cortisone. One built me $300 foot inserts, and one said, "Oh, you're too young," and gave me a $300 pedicure. You know, consequently, I have no love for podiatrists. All right. And come to find out, if I would have been diagnosed correctly and helped correctly and treated correctly, I probably could have avoided it becoming chronic. All right. So here's the deal. I work on my feet, right? And I was when it got really bad, I was working doing some home construction, and man, my feet just got so bad. I mean, they were on fire all the time. Well, then at the same time, I was cleaning, doing new home construction and cleaning, and I was like on the warranty crew. So we go in and we would clean and we would fix all the last minute things, right? Well, because they had a warm body policy there. I better watch it. I'm going to get bitter. Okay, when I think of these people. And they had a warm body policy. So every Yahoo dope smoking idiot in town worked there. All right. And so, you know, they get all high at lunch and stuff like that. And then they come back and they do touch up painting where they take a roller and paint it on the wall and spray paint all over the new trim that was in there. Well, then they send me to go scrub it off. Right. And so I was constantly moving my arms, constantly scrubbing. Well, then I got tendonitis in both arms. What is that? That's more inflammation, right? Well, you take the horse. When this foot isn't right, not only has he got inflammation inside here in the tearing of this lamina, but when he doesn't have the correct support back here, what's it going to affect up here? It's going to affect his tendons. So then the inflammation moves from his feet up into his tendons, right? And you know, you just go on from there. It's like when you heat up metal, the heat just doesn't stay. Like, say I take a knife and I got a fire and I hold that knife in the fire. Well, the tip of the knife is going to get hot, but it's going to travel up, right? Well, that's the same way with inflammation in your body. One thing connects to another. And so next thing you know, that horse got all kind of inflammation in his tendons. He's going to have knee problems. It's going to go up into his back. And the stress and the unhappiness that they experience then starts to cause metabolic issues. So, see, I know this because I experienced this myself. See, just a minute here. Oh. Got to take a drink of water. All from the feet. You know, so mine started in my feet. But then, of course, since I got tendonitis in both arms, so bad, it got so bad that one day I went to work and I had to vacuum. I could not push the vacuum back and forth. All right. And that's when I knew I was in trouble. So what happened to me? It was severely depressive because what do? I use my body to make a living, right? Well, the horse has to use his body for everything. I mean, those feet are for everything. They're to run away when they're scared. They're to kick up their heels when they're happy. They're to move over to eat. They're, you know, and so, I kind of went probably through the same thing a horse goes through. If I don't have my feet and I don't have my arms, I can't make a living, starve and die. I mean, this is going through your head, right? And I mean, eventually I realized what was wrong. I had to quit that job because I just could not scrub anymore, and clean up after morons. Um, so and I just had to find other things to do, which after that I went to work for the school as a paraeducator. Okay. And things like that, and have done different things. Once I was a jailer. I'm a jack of all trades. Anyway, I'm a perfect example of why you should get an education. Okay. Or at least go to technical school. There we go. But anyway, I learned a lot from all these different things, and a lot of common sense stuff and stuff like that. So your horse experiences the same thing. Horses are highly emotional animals, right? And so when their feet aren't right, they aren't right. And that's probably why most of us are here, because we started seeing that, then that it wasn't just affecting the feet, it affects the overall horse and stuff. And so anyway, all right. So now you know that this all has to connect together and that this has to be in alignment here. See, you can't have the hoof capsule pull in one way and the foot pull in another. And when you trim the heels out, even though you set the foot down like this, guess what? That horse still, his whole body is wanting to stand like this. Okay. Well, this is how rotation starts. See, they rotate because they want to be standing like this, but everything in the capsule is pulling this way. And so that's how see that rotation? Now they call it, what do they call it? They call it coffin bone rotation, right? Because all they see on an x-ray is this bone right here. And they never consider the fact that the horse has a whole foot. Like what you're seeing here is the whole foot covered with skin. Like if you notice how it's all the same color. Like up here is where the hair grew. That's dermis, corium that grew hair. Then you have the coronary band that grew the hoof wall. Then you have the laminar dermis or whatever that attached to the lamina in the hoof capsule. Then you have the sole dermis or corium that grew the sole, and the frog dermis or corium. What is dermis? Dermis is skin, right? See, they have to put all these big words in the medical field and stuff like this so that they can feel justified in charging you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree. Okay, so that's why, like for the coffin bone, you're going to find, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different synonyms for the same object. That way when you're talking to you, they can make you feel stupid. Like, you don't know, well, the osteopetus there and the, yeah, whatever. Okay, so, all right, so where are we at here? So this is just skin. This is all just skin. And there is a foot in here, but it's composed of parts. See, but it's one unit, just like your foot in your shoe. And so your foot in your shoe has to be supported in a specific fashion. And so they call it coffin bone rotation. They think just this bone is rotating. They don't realize, hey, you got a whole foot here. you have a whole foot that can rotate. And what you find is when the whole foot rotates, it'll look really weird back here. You'll see very stretched periopal skin. It can rotate so much in the back here that actually the frog becomes detached and starts growing a new frog in here while the old frog is still on the hoof capsule. And so since this capsule is supposed to be connected a certain way, when the foot moves in the capsule, all right, and becomes detached from its correct connection to this lamina, the foot goes into overdrive to try and keep the capsule from being pulled off. And so what the foot does is it will produce heavier periopal skin to try and hold on to the back of the foot back here. But it will also produce more lamina. Okay, this lamina that's in here, we're going to look at a couple of hoof capsules here. You see, it's not very deep, right? You see how deep it is. It's just about 1/8 of an inch right here. And of course, connects into the lamina on here. Let's look at this one. Here again, this horse had great connection. See, he had no separation at all, even though he had hardly ever been trimmed in his life, was on like a 40-acre pasture, sod pasture over here in Kansas. He was put down because he was blind. The back of his heels collapsed and ran forward. So, he's kind of run on his bulbs there, but really he had a pretty good foot. He didn't have any internal damage. And the lamina, he had perfect laminar connection in his foot, in that back foot. Obviously didn't have much of a frog because his heels were collapsed, and so he couldn't develop much of a frog here. But you see the lamina, how good it is there. Let's look at another one. Okay, this was my mare's foot. Of course, she didn't have contracted heels like that. This happened after I took this off. But you can see here, except for in her heels right here, she had a really good laminar connection. See? You can see it in there. The lamina is not thick at all. Very good laminar connection. So that one, I'm going to look at this one. Now this here, you can see the coffin bone in the foot, and you see how tightly the wall is connected to the coffin bone. That's because this horse had a really good connection, laminar connection. But let me tell you something about this horse. Now I have some videos of her on my YouTube. Her name was Cookie. She was a white Appaloosa with no spots. Now the first time I met this horse, this guy hired me to come trim his horses. It was when I first started trimming. Well, I'd been trimming for a year, and then due to unforeseen financial circumstances, I was shoved into a situation where I needed to make more money, and so I put out a flyer. Now, this is how easy it is to become a trimmer, folks. Okay, I trimmed for a year, learned online. Okay, pretty much doing Gene Omenek's trim that he described. And then out of desperation and needing to make more money, put a flyer out, because here's what they do. They tell you that this barefoot trim is the cure all for everything, don't they? Okay, so I just made a list of everything this trim was supposedly supposed to heal, that in truth I knew very little about, and I put that on my flyer, and I put them around town at the feed stores. And so I get a call from this guy, and to come out and jerk the shoes off his horse and trim his horses, right? Well, he leads this mare up. I can't remember if she had shoes on or not. Okay, here we go. Confessions of a barefoot trimmer, stuff they'll never tell you. Yeah. Okay, so he leads this mare up there, and I don't think she lit up very well. Okay. And so I trimmed her according to the barefoot protocol. I took the heels down to the base of the frog, and I did the Mustang roll, you know, and stuff. And actually, I'd been doing that to my horses for about a year, and they were doing pretty good. They had improved. Okay, but see, what you're going to find in barefoot trimming is it's designed to where if the feet are pretty bad, they can improve, but then it's like like a teeter totter. Like you have improvement right here. Like here they were bad, they were long, overly long, and so you're shortening the toe and doing different things like they tell you, and so the foot starts to improve, and then it gets right about here, and then you keep doing that barefoot trim, and then it starts to do this. See what I mean? Okay, so anyway, so I put out this flyer, and I had got a few other trimming jobs and stuff like that, and so he leads this mare up there, and I trimmed her. And I mean, when I was done and he led her away, it was not good. Okay. But it didn't seem to bother him. I mean, I guess because she was lame when she walked up to me, and I was too stupid at the time to have her walk around to see how she really walked. So then when he walked her away, I think she walked away worse, and it freaked me out completely. And so then I realized, well, here's the thing though. Let me draw you a picture. Just a second. Let me find a piece of paper here. Okay. So he brings that mare up to me, and I pick her feet up, right? And I clean them out, and I look at them, and this is how they look. Just a minute here. Let me draw it. Okay, so here's your hoof capsule, right? And you know how you usually got a white line. Here's the hoof wall that goes like this. Okay, here's your hoof wall. Here's your sole. Of course, your frog will be in here, whatever. Okay, so this would be your white line, right? Like right in here. See there? Here's the hoof wall, that thick. Here's the white line. Here's the sole. I picked up this horse's foot, and she had a white line that's really yellow. You know, sometimes when you got your horse's feet clean and you got them trimmed up good, you'll have a pretty yellow white line. She had a white line that was this wide, and it was pristine yellow. Do you see that? It was an inch wide, like that. It was an inch wide. It was definitely that wide all around. Right in here. I've never seen anything like this since. Okay, and I didn't understand it. I remember picking up her foot, and I said, she has a white line that's an inch wide. Why is that? That is so confusing. I don't understand it. And it was perfect, pristine yellow around here. And it was composed of little bubbles that looked like this. They were little ovular bubbles. Let me draw them in here. All the way around. All the way around, just like that. And it was soft, like, you know, a soft white line. When you have a clean foot that you've rasped out and you got a clean white line, if you take your finger down and you press into it, it's soft. It's like rubber cement. Well, this was the color of bright yellow rubber cement, and it was composed of little bubbles that looked like that. And at the time I was like, I have no idea what that is. So when I came home, I started researching, and I found out that this is called a laminar wedge. But I've seen lots of laminar wedges since. Okay, but I've never seen one that looked like that. Okay, so this mare Cookie, and now you can see when she died, she didn't have a laminar wedge. She had a good tight fitting wall there. See there? Okay, but I went home, I researched, and I found this site in the UK called the Laminitis something or other. And so this veterinarian was talking about how when these horses have laminitis, that you cannot trim their heels down. Okay? And he said that he found this out the hard way because somebody brought him a horse that had laminitis and had a laminar wedge, and he trimmed the heels down, and the horse went down and couldn't stand up until he put shoes on it with wedge pads. Now, isn't that interesting? And so on this particular horse, I started leaving heel. And over time, in about 6 months to a year, she totally healed up. She got a totally good fitting hoof capsule. Now, she had, I must have been leaving a little bit of heel because she died before I even learned about the fact that we're trimming the heels out of these horses. Okay. But anyway, as long as you kept her, she grew out that laminar wedge. So it must have not been clear up into the coronary band. And you see here, now see the thing that's good about this particular foot, I only got one of her feet because what happened was when she died, he drug her off and burned her. But then he went and he found me this one foot. So this has kind of been through the fire. So you can see what's interesting where the top of the coffin bone should end in the capsule. It's right about here. Okay, now what happens is when a foot rotates, all right, we're going to show this here. But anyway, she healed up, and you can see she had a tight white line. It wasn't like, you know, this one that I showed you. But what I didn't know, again, this was a laminar wedge. Now, what is laminar wedge? Well, first of all, it's composed of lamina. That's why it's called the laminar wedge. And it develops, and the reason it's called a wedge is because, okay, it looks like this on the bottom, but since the horse's foot is shaped like this, like that, right? And the foot here, okay, the foot here, just a minute here, I gotta do something on my computer. Okay, the foot here, okay, the foot, that's the capsule, rotates like this. Now, what's that shape there? Look here. Do you know what that shape is called? That's called a wedge. That's a wedge shape. Okay, that's why it's called a laminar wedge. Now, what happens is, let me get a drink of water here. The foot, due to mechanical, and then of course it can turn into metabolic, so you're kind of going back and forth there, but primarily due to mechanical means, either because the toe got really long and the heels got high, or the heels got over trimmed and made the foot like this and put a different the weight bearing equilibrium was not correct. Okay, as the foot, just a minute, as the foot here, all right, starts to the wall gets pulled forward or whatever, and the separation starts between the two laminas. Remember, you got the sensitive lamina, because this is soft, sensitive tissue that's connected to a little bit harder tissue that's on the hoof capsule here. Okay, as this starts to separate, God knew that this was going to happen. And so in his creation, if you want to blame it on evolution, go right ahead. I don't care. I blame this on God because he is so smart. He thought, well, stupid humans, and what's going to happen on the earth? I want my horse to be able to keep his foot on. So I will make it so that this lamina on the hoof capsule will grow and multiply and hold on to the foot so that hopefully the horse can get it corrected and he can grow out a new capsule that will be connected to his foot. So I'm going to show you a couple laminar wedges. We're going to talk about how the hoof wall grows. So the hoof wall grows from the coronary band. It attaches to the lamina here. Okay. And then it grows down to the ground till it hooks up with the sole right here. And then as it hooks up to the sole right here, and then they go down to the ground together, and they're going to grow about that thick so that you have at least that much sole under the foot ideally. Okay, so this is your coronary band. And why is it called a band? Because it's half. Look at it's shaped like this pencil, half round. See, right there. Okay, this here is called your coronary band groove. So this is what your coronary band fits in. And so the little papillae, let's see, little papillae, little teats feed these little tubes that are in the coronary band groove, and they grow the whole depth of the hoof wall, the lamina, the inner part of the hoof wall, the outer part of the hoof wall. Okay, and so the little pap that is on here that feeds one of these little tubes, that's where it's supposed to be for the life of the horse. Okay, and so it feeds that tubule, either for the horn tubules in the wall or for the lamina here. And then they grow. That's the way it's supposed to grow forever. Now, when the hoof wall, let's see. Okay, let me find another deal here. Okay, so it's supposed to be connected like that. And so these little papillae in here, they feed this part of the hoof wall and it grows straight down. See there? Grows from here and grows down the whole life of the horse. So when the foot rotates, let's say let's say the wall just gets pulled out. Well, that ain't too bad. If the wall gets pulled out to here or even here, not too bad. But if the foot rotates, then look here where it's in there. If that rotates, do you see how that can rotate in the coronary band groove? Look, here's your coronary band groove, supposed to stay in one spot, never be moved. This light is a little glaring. Sorry about that. So when this coronary band rotates in here, like so, then it no longer can grow this wall directly down like this again. Okay, then you have a situation like this. Here is a horse that had a severe rotation. Now, remember what I said, when the lamina on the foot starts to separate here, the lamina on the capsule starts to multiply to try and hold on to this. And that's, look at the wedge shape here. Just a minute. See the wedge shape? That's why it's called a wedge, simply because of the shape that this takes on as it rotates, like so. And so, look, this stuff here, it can, I've seen lots of laminar wedges. Like, look here, look at the bottom of this foot. If you weren't for this crack, okay, you wouldn't even know. Look at the wedge. See, you couldn't even see it. A lot of them are in these feet and you don't even know it because the sole can look pretty much solid there. This horse, you didn't even know what was really going on with her because her foot looked, other than right in here, looked normal. And so her foot was clear back like this. See? There we go. That's what was going on with her. Like so. Now, this here is composed of the same lamina as this here. This right here. What happens is it stays attached, if it can, to this lamina and it multiplies. It just multiplies. And so, and after a certain period of time, it can be softer, but then it can also solidify and get very hard. And so here's the thing you want to look at. This is why, like there's no way, especially on a foot like this. Now, some of these feet, they may have a wall out like this. Okay. And so, you know, you might be able to bring the breakover back a hair, but they can still have a laminar wedge just like this. Now, what's different here is this. On this foot here, the horn tubules are growing out and they're growing straight down like this, and everything's tightly connected to the foot. On this one, because the coronary band has rotated in the groove, they can no longer grow straight down. Now, look, I've drawn a picture of how they're growing. See there? There's no amount of taking back a toe that's going to correct this. Now, look up here. Look at the thickness of the wall up here compared to this. You see the difference? And so on some of these horses, you're going to want to look up here. If you see this thickness or a dip, you know that you're probably rotated clear up into the coronary band. And so, man, I don't know what could have been done for this horse to help it. Her feet was, see, it was kind of a weird deal, the whole story. And I've got her story. It's called The Tragedy of something, The Tragedy of Laminitis. It's on my YouTube channel. And this is the first time, other than Cookie here, that was one of the first horses I ran into with laminitis, where that had the pristine laminar wedge, wherever I put that. Seems to have, what did I do with that? Just a second. Anyway, the laminar wedge I drew. What the heck? Anyway, this mare here, beautiful gray Arab mare. I just think she had the feet trimmed out of her by the farrier. And by the time I ran into this lady didn't have any place to keep her where she could have taken care of her or anything like that. As far as this mare was laying down, she was full of pressure sores from laying down. And when I got the feet, she put her down. I talked her into putting her down because this mare was suffering so badly. It was just horrible. And wound up getting her feet, and I really didn't even dissect them for several years because I really didn't know what to do with them. But I did bring them home and I cleaned them out. And I think I have a video of that on there too. When I cleaned them out, and when I like she had separated back here, when I squirted water in the hoof capsule, you could squirt it in the back and it would come out the front. So that told me, and of course, this is before I realized the horse had a foot. This is when I was still thinking, like everybody else, that it was a capsule with parts in it, like so, not a foot, you see. And so when years later, I finally took the hoof capsule off, because you can keep these horses' feet froze forever, you know. I found some interesting things. In my video that I do on this hoof capsule, when I first evaluated it, I gave it the wrong interpretation. I said that, let's see, I got another one here. Okay, I said I was showing this hoof capsule here. And I thought that because the bars hadn't been trimmed, that the bars had shoved up into the foot. That's what I thought. Now look here. Okay, that is not what happened. This is not what happened. What happened is the foot rotated. Look, what do you think happens when the foot rotates? Well, the bars keep growing, right? So all it was bar growth. What happened here was, as the foot rotated up, the old bar on the old capsule became disattached, and the sole and new bar was growing from the new position of the foot up here, like this. That's what that was. This is not jammed up bar. Not to say that jammed up bar can't happen, okay? But I don't think it happens as much as a lot of us thought it was happening, which led some people to digging bars out, which I never did that. But I could have done any other thing anybody else did. I still did stuff to trim heels out, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what you see on her feet here, now I cut the front of the hoof capsule off so you can see what that laminar wedge looks like. Now, here's what it looks like. Okay, now when that horse was, I think I trimmed this capsule up. I can't remember before she's dead or after, one of the two. Anyway, this is the same deal here. Okay, but now you see what a laminar wedge looks like in there. See, here's what it looks like normally, but you wouldn't even know it was there. You know, you'd think your horse's foot was in there like that, like so, but in truth, the horse is standing up like that. I don't even know if I have the rest of the foot that goes to this. I got all kinds of feet here, and I'm not sure who they belong to. Some of them, anyway. So, anyway, this is laminar wedge. But here's something else I want you to notice. She had two sets of bars growing, and two sets of sole. This was the old sole that became disattached. This is the sole that was growing off of her foot that was there. Okay, look, this is the inner part of the collateral groove, which would be, okay, you see this here? Okay, notice there are two of them. Why is that? Because the foot became disattached from rotation to the capsule and started growing the whole new sole. Everything that grows from the bottom of here, when the foot rotated up, became disattached on the capsule, and so there was a whole other set growing underneath here. Oops, just a minute. Okay, can you hear me? Can somebody say something so I know you're hearing me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
I was just testing my ear things and my other thing here. Just a minute. I have to get a drink. Hold on. Okay. let's see. So here's a situation that happens when you have separation or rotation. Basically, you are in a position where you have to grow off what is technically damaged and dead capsule from the new one that's growing on. And what happens is when the foot rotates or moves, then you have a whole new whole new capsule growing from a new position of the foot, but you still have the old capsule on. So what you're trying to do without doing something to the foot to make it rotate again is you're trying to grow off the old and grow on the new, and that is why it can get so hard. And so what I found was you have to try and get the growth to a position where the foot is where the capsule is not pulling against the foot and continuing to tear everything. And a lot of times when you first get this laminitis and you got a really lame horse, that horse needs to be kept in somewhere so the foot can stabilize, so that this torn, because what this really is, torn lamina that's trying to heal itself over and over and over. And so you need to keep the horse in somewhere where he can't move around a lot so that it will stabilize and solidify. That was the thing that the guy that owned Cookie here, that had the big fat laminar wedge, he kept her in. He kept her in, and I learned about a laminar wedge, and I kept her toes back, and I what else I do? I let her grow some heel, and she healed up. It was a miracle. It was a miracle because it sure wasn't much on skill, and it was only an accident that I found that guy that said that he allowed heels to stay on the horses the whole time when he was trying to grow out a new foot from laminitis and stuff like that. So, all right. So let's see, where are we at? So you see, I just don't know at this point what can be done for some of these horses. Some of them can be helped, and some of them, what you got to do is you just got to get their hoof capsule into a position where it's stabilized and they're comfortable. Some of them, I don't know if you'll ever be able to totally change that. I think someday we may learn what to do about this, because you see, this horse here has laminar wedge clear over to here. See, clear up in here. So anyway, all right. So is everybody kind of understanding what I'm trying to say here so far? Has anybody got any comments or anything they'd like to say, or any experiences they'd like to share in this regard?
Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
So,
again.
hi. So, I just wanted to ask, because I have a mini Shetland pony with chronic laminitis, and what has happened, that when you look at the hoof from the bottom, you see basically everything is like one block of really hard, dead sole and laminar wedge and whatever. It's just so compacted and everything. Is there, should you be taking out some of this, or should you just be leaving it and waiting till it releases itself? Or it's so difficult to decide what to do with these feet.
Yeah, it is, and so that's why I can't at this point I can't really tell you, especially if I haven't seen the feet, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I couldn't promise you that I could tell you if I had seen the feet because
Mm-hmm.
because there's only so much that you can do. Now, um, you know, boy.
So you were also saying about the bar,
Mhm.
not sticking out the bar. I've seen some videos on your YouTube channel where you were talking about actually taking the bars way down.
Well,
So is that sort of
yeah,
changed a bit in your opinion?
yeah, there see, well, look at this foot right here. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I can show you a horse that did have laminitis where everything separated off the bottom of his feet. In fact, we looked at this a few hoof capsules ago, a few hoof chats ago or something like that where um he had laminitis and so the whole sole came off, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so, the thing is, are they growing another foot underneath the one you've got? Um, like this one here, let's see. What could I have done here? Could I have come in here and taken all this dead sole off and taken this bar off to find new bar underneath? Could I have
Yeah.
done something to help this horse? The part that would have been hard is this part with the laminar wedge. What to do with it? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
But so on
I
this
mean,
view, sorry,
oh,
the
go ahead.
capsule that you're showing now, with if you show the capsule now from the sole view, what you were just showing, all this hard stuff, the one on the right hand capsule, which you were just showing from the bottom, all that dead hard stuff on the bottom. Yes.
Mhm.
Uh, there's something new growing under there,
Yeah.
probably. So do you just wait until that pops out, or do you try and alleviate some of it? Because I keep hearing you say when something's covered up, like if you cover up grass, the stuff underneath quits growing. So it's difficult. Do you think it would be a good idea to take some of that hard stuff off to help what's growing underneath, or is it there to protect and it will come off in time by itself?
Well, see, some of it I don't think will ever come off in time by itself. Like
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that would have happened here is her whole hoof capsule would have come off. There
Mm-hmm.
was a time here when I think she could have been helped. Um, See, you can see the two soles, sole growing
Mm-hmm.
here, sole growing here. This bar here, all
Mm-hmm.
of it could have been removed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, as to whether it would have helped this particular horse, I don't know, because she still had this problem going on here on this whole part of the foot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
see what I don't know, and me personally, um, I mean, people do resections,
Mm-hmm.
but a resection on this horse, man, I just don't know how you could even have done that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at this. You would have had to remove the whole front of her hoof capsule, period, clear up into the coronary band, and I'm not prepared for that. you know,
Yeah.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
I can remove stuff like that, you know, kind of
Yeah.
a little bit. Um, but I, the only thing I could see that would have helped this horse is if you could have a veterinarian do an operation,
Mm-hmm.
and take
Mm-hmm.
off this laminar wedge. I don't know how good are these horses at once you take all that off. Can this coronary band grow a normal wall again?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because the problem is this thing here is preventing you from fixing these feet.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. I
um,
see that.
yeah.
So
So this whole section right here, all the way around the foot would have to be removed.
Mhm.
I'm not saying to do that. I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm just saying, as long as that's there, this will never ever grow correctly.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That is never going to grow correctly.
Yeah.
This is never going to quit growing like this. See,
Mhm.
until I mean, I don't know. How would you rotate it back in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
I understand.
uh,
I mean, there's some farrier in Germany who says that if you put dental impression material in to support the coffin bone,
right here
yeah, then now at the back, if you
at the
would put it
back.
third, like we or Risa has already shown several times how to put the material, the dental impression material on in the back of the foot, in the back third, to support the coffin bone. And they say then that that will help to grow out the laminar wedge, and basically to grow the new capsule without a laminar wedge. Do you think that's possible when it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
severe?
I'd like to try it.
Mhm.
You know, I'd try it. Um,
Mhm.
uh, you know, for sure. What
Mhm.
I'm wondering about too, see, is supporting this area of the foot right here. If there was some form of support that could go under this coffin bone right here, right under here,
Yeah.
to
Well, some cases they
keep it
say, I
pushed
think,
up,
so-
huh?
yeah, some cases I think they say that you should put the dental impression material over the whole sole.
Yeah.
And some cases they say only in the back third of the hoof cap or the hoof in
Uh-huh.
that sense to support. But I think it depends whether it's only the foot's rotated or whether it's also sunken down.
Yeah.
How much sole you have under the tip of the coffin bone.
Yeah. See, so if you didn't have very much sole under here, look, here's your deep digital flexor tendon right here, connected right to there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a one heck of a pull right here, you know,
Yeah.
to pull that back like that. So you got to have something in here, some
Mm-hmm.
firm, solid material that would keep this pushed forward like so, so that it didn't go like that and pull it back,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
So I think that's what they're trying to do with this dental impression material is to
Mm-hmm.
support the coffin bone, so it's got some counter pressure in that sense, and that it doesn't rotate anymore or again.
Yeah.
So depending on how they place it, and they place it in a sort of a half moon shape, usually in the back third of the foot, so that it doesn't touch the rim of the coffin bone and put pressure on the rim of the coffin bone.
Uh-huh.
And then they keep that dental impression material on. They keep renewing it every time they trim the horse, and they leave it on until the whole capsule has grown down new. Yeah, so for a year or however long it takes to grow a whole new capsule. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Is something that you would see that could possibly help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see why, because see, there's different reasons why you get rotation in here. One reason is when you trim the heels out and all of the digital cushion and the frog and everything gets shoved in this way into this bone here,
Mm-hmm.
right here. Well, if you shove this stuff up that way, this coffin bone then gets pushed that way. See? And
Mhm.
so by supporting this back here, and hopefully they're also allowing some heel to grow and stuff like that, then that's pulling this back out that way, which then would take the pressure off of this, pull this back, and you see what I mean? It would come,
Yeah.
the bone would come.
Mhm.
But also then this problem of this deep digital flexor tendon here, as this is being pulled out this way, I think if there wasn't something in here, right
Mhm.
there, like here's where your frog is. So if you allowed your frog to get real thick, or you supported this bone right here, that
Mhm.
would help too, as far as,
Mhm.
you know, pulling this foot
Yeah.
out correctly.
Mhm.
I
So
mean,
if you would use the material, it would preferably be further along than just the back third of the foot. So you would probably take it,
yeah,
a little further than the tip of the frog, the true frog, apex of the frog.
yeah, or even a different kind of material. Like, I don't know if you had Soul Guard or something that you
Mhm.
could put right under here, or
Mhm.
just anything to keep this from being pulled back like that is what I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Mhm. Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
But all speculative, you know, but I
Yes. Yeah.
see what I base it on is structural principles. You know,
Mhm.
when I push this, that's got to go somewhere. You know, if I got a big tight rubber band pulling on this, you know, it can pull that back. So I
Yes.
wouldn't want that to go back. So I would put something there.
Yeah. To keep that in place. Mhm.
Um, and then eventually, but as far as this, uh, I'm just looking at it, wondering if it rotated, but if it starts rotating back, I just don't know. Is there something, if they can reverse this, if it gets that bad? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, they just say that if they put this material on the bottom, it will unrotate the
Eventually,
capsule,
and maybe
basically. Yes, yes,
start growing the capsule correctly, maybe.
yes. Just unrotating the foot, so you just have to have it on until a whole new capsule has grown. So that's what they say,
That
that's
make
what they
well,
do.
yeah, that makes sense to me. But I also think that some of that depends on the amount of rotation into the coronary band.
Yes, okay.
See,
So if it's at this stage that you're showing there, it's probably not really gonna work. Yeah.
yeah, I can't see it working.
Okay.
I can't see it working unless they were to do a complete resection of
Mm,
this hoof wall,
mm,
at least into here, right
mhm,
here.
mhm.
This piece right here.
Yes.
See it?
Mhm.
Because there's no way that the coronary band can grow that deal there.
Yeah, I
I
understand,
mean,
Linda. Mhm.
anyway.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got
Okay.
another one
Thank
over
you.
here too. There's that one. See, oh, okay, these two went like so.
Mhm.
See,
Yeah.
May I ask a question?
oh, absolutely, please.
Hi, this is Anka from Germany. Lisa, do you know the name of the farrier you're talking about? Is it Markus Rabe?
No, it's if you go on Facebook and you can look for a group or a page called Pro Hoof.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yes, I know it.
it's a guy, he's a farrier, and then there's also his wife or girlfriend who always makes the videos. I don't know them personally. I've just seen the Facebook pages, and the videos and the things that they post about laminitis and how they obviously trying to correct it. I don't know how severe these cases are in the sense of how bad the laminar wedge is, if it really goes right up to the coffin, the coronary band, or if it's only not quite as high. So that's the page on Facebook that I saw, and they have a YouTube channel as well. So it's called Pro Hoof.
Okay, I know them. And
Yeah.
when Linda talked about getting like rid of the front part of the hoof capsule when it's, I thought another German farrier called Markus Rabe, and he's it's called Equivent, and they do like operations on hoofs with cancer and stuff like that. And I had to think about the pictures of the operations on these hoofs.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I always find it very extreme. I don't know. Really, I haven't seen any results how these cases end up. Have you seen any results on these resections that they make?
I can't remember. I don't really think I saw after stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think something interesting would be look at it. Some of these horses that have lost a hoof capsule and grown it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that they say that's not a case to put the horse down. Actually, they see, at least here in Europe or Switzerland and Germany, I know I've read about it several times, that they say that even if they lose the whole hoof capsule, obviously under certain circumstances, they have to, they will allow the horse to grow a whole new capsule.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have that in America, if that's been done in America. They say here they've done it before.
Yeah, I think it a long time ago, when I first started researching all this, I found an article of a horse that worked for he pulled stuff for the railroad. So it was back in the 1800s, and he got his foot stuck in between two rails and pulled a hoof capsule off. And they grew it back and put him back to work.
Yeah. I think it's been done. Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't see why in the future, once people understand and know more about the stuff that I've been showing you today, that couldn't be done.
I mean, it's always, you also have to think about what the horse has to go through when it has to live like that.
Yeah.
I mean, would you want that for the horse? Why would you put it through all this pain and agony? I mean, obviously, these horses probably have to be hung up in special, I don't know what you call it in English, but you'd have to hang them up, so that they're actually not standing on the limb. They would have to be confined. And I mean, as soon as you do something like that, you know there's going to be other problems.
Yeah, you'd have to have your
so,
own special place. I mean, you'd have to have a special setup to do any of that. It's such a difficult thing.
Yeah, I don't think something like that's for the normal the normal horse owner like you and me.
No, it's not, and it's just like this gal. I mean, there's no way that she could have done anything for this horse. And this horse was in so much pain. It was very, very, very tragic. I mean, because these horses, it's not like you tearing a fingernail off. They have to live and stand on these feet. So it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, you just have to sometimes you just have to say, okay, for the welfare of the horse, it's best if you just let it go.
Yeah,
in certain stages. But I mean, in certain cases, I think You can help them still, and you just have to know that with things like this, that you're most likely on your own, because there's so many opinions out there, and so many, well, I do it like this, I do it like that, and there's so many
Yeah.
different ways that people think they're doing the right thing, but in the end,
It winds up
you
not
don't really
being.
know. Yeah, you don't really know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so thank you very much,
Well,
Linda.
thank you. I wish I had more answers for you, because I know
Yeah.
you're in a dilemma.
Yeah, maybe we will have in the future, and we
Yeah.
just do what we can do, huh?
Yeah, I think that we will, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
But not right now. And as I
No.
said, like this one horse, I was able to help her, but she was not rotated clear up into the coronary band. So
Mhm.
she did have some laminar wedge for sure, pretty extensively, but in this case, her feet were really long out here, you know. So that laminar wedge was a little different than a because you can have laminar wedge from rotation, which is the worst, you know, when the foot goes like that, or you could have it where the wall has just so flared out and gone out this way. That can create it too. That I would rather have that kind to try and fix than this kind. So
Hi, this is Kathy. I have a question regarding that. How can you tell from that? How, I mean, obviously you can tell that they
can
have a
hey
long.
wait a second. Can you talk a little louder, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, sorry, I had to put my headphones on. Forgot I didn't have them on. So it's obvious when they have a long toe that their toe is long, but how do you know? So I have a gelding who has laminitis, and he had x-rays done. It's been now a year and a half ago. And they said he had rotation, but he also, I mean, you could tell he has a long toe.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I, he didn't have penetration through, the sole.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had varying success in trying to get the toe back
Yeah.
to get rid of this wedge.
Yeah.
But his wedge doesn't go up as far as the picture, I mean the hoof capsules that you have
Yeah.
there, where it goes
That's
all the
good.
way up to the. So if you were trimming him, and I've been trying to look at the tubules to see, okay, where are they going?
Uh,
Can you remove the laminar wedge through trimming that long toe if the wedge does not go all the way up to the coronary band?
yeah, I believe it can be uh uh grown out, you know. But then you also have to look at what's going on with the back of his foot. So I think there's a combination of stuff that has to be done there
Well,
to get that.
several years ago, because I've gone through, I don't know, probably 15 years of searching too.
Yeah.
And I, of course, used to have trimmers that came and whacked the heels off of my one horse, and I used to get into arguments with them over that. And I ended up trying varying methods to learn myself, and um, have allowed in the last probably 10 years my horses, well, maybe 8, my horses' heels to grow. And but this horse that I have, this other horse who has laminitis, he's always had different feet than my first horse, and he's
Uh-huh.
been challenging to me because he's always had long, it's almost like they're pancake type feet.
Yeah.
And then of course he suffered laminitis, and he found out he was insulin resistant, and now Cushing's is when he got laminitis. And again, it's been a struggle. So I leave the heels, um, and try to take care of the toes, but I really haven't seen much difference.
Uh-huh.
The
Okay.
wedge is always there. That's why it really piqued my curiosity over this wedge that you see in these capsules that you have on the screen.
Yeah.
If he are like that, although his toes are not short or cut like this,
Mm-hmm.
um, does he have that, and how do I get rid of it?
Well, do you have pictures?
I can share my screen to show them to you.
Okay. Well, could you send them to me in Messenger? Maybe? Or I'll just I can let you share screen here and then I can take a screenshot. So I'm
Okay.
gonna, let's see. It's been a while since I let anybody share the screen, so I got to figure out how to do it.
Oh, okay.
I guess I just is there somewhere that says you can share screen on there?
Yeah, at the bottom it says I can. You want me to see if I
Oh
can
yeah.
share the screen?
Okay, just a minute.
Oh no, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Well, I wonder how let's see. Advanced sharing options. Multiple participants. Oh, okay. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Dual monitors recommended. Who can share? Okay. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Okay. Okay.
I think I can share my screen now.
Okay. Okay.
Probably can see me and my mom. Can you see my hoof?
Yep. Okay. So what I see here right away, the first thing my eye is drawn to is let me oh, just a minute here. How do I just a second here. Huh. Well, I feel like I'm on the outer limits. You've taken over my TV station.
Sorry, I've got 4 pictures just so you can see.
Okay. Yeah, I can see some stuff here. I wanted to take a screenshot. Just a minute. Oh, this will stop the. No, I don't want to do that. Just a minute here. I was trying to. Oh, exit full screen. Okay, there we go. Now I can take a picture of this. Just a second here. Okay. Just a second. Okay, can you share some of the other ones?
Yep. So that's the bottom. Let me know when you want me to show you another one.
Go ahead.
There's another one kind of more towards the back. Because I was trying to look to see the shape of the coronary band here.
Yeah.
And then here's the looking from here.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find you on Facebook and send you a message. And can you send those into my messenger?
Okay.
Okay. Just a minute here.
I'll send you a message. And,
okay.
Do you want it to your page or to the Hoof page? I'll stop sharing that way.
Can you send it to my? You can do it either place. I usually
what's your personal? I don't know if I'm on your personal one, but I'll find you.
Just a minute here. What's your full name?
It's Catherine Brown.
Oops. Let me spell it here. Just a second. CATH
BRINE.
And what's your last name?
Brown with an E at the end. BROWNE.
BROW. Brown?
Brown, like the color brown.
Okay.
With an E at the end.
Okay. Do you have a spotted mule?
I don't. Let me find you.
What does your picture look like? I see your horse. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to send a message to you. Oh, well, see, we have talked, or no, that's not you. You're not Kathy Brown, right?
No.
Okay, well, that is somebody I obviously know. And they had a sorrel.
I know there's always a lot of us.
With a blaze face. Do you have, what's your picture look like?
It's a picture of me that's kind of blurry with curly hair.
Yeah. Are you wearing sunglasses?
Yes.
Aha. Is it Catherine Brown Anderson?
Yes.
Aha. I found you. Okay. 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 I just sent you a message.
Okay. I'm replying back. And I'll attach the pictures. But I have been I guess for full disclosure, because others probably, I'm not sure if other people have seen me on Facebook. I don't want
Oh.
to cause any problems.
Oh.
I have the one who's helped me the most with keeping the heels long, although now she's passed away, was Maureen Turney.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have helped a couple of other folks with the Facebook group on her page, or following her trim.
Okay.
And so it was through her that I learned to not trim the heels.
Yeah. Oh, well, good.
I don't know if you know of her or other people in this.
I never knew her, but I've heard about her and stuff, and I heard that she passed away, and I know there's a lot of people that follow her method.
Yeah.
And I have no ill to say. So
Okay. Well, and I, because I'm sure others will say, "Oh my gosh, Kathy's talking to Linda." And I'm always learning and growing. And
hey,
like
we
the
all are,
whole,
and I'm learning too. You know, as I sit here and share, I'm learning things and trying to figure out things myself. So
yep,
so that's all good. And
yep.
we all need to support and help one another and stuff.
I agree. And I know that for me, I have been critical of other methods that I have
Oh, me
tried in
too.
the past because they really, truly did not work.
Yeah.
And I can say with experience that she's helped me, except for now I suffer with this laminar wedge that is what's prompted me to try to find, since she's not with us, trying to find ways to get rid of it once and for all.
Yeah.
Really, that's the bottom line. I want it gone.
I don't blame you. Okay, so I'm going to look at this now that I've got it here in front of me. And the first thing okay, is it on the screen? Am I
Yes,
sharing it?
I see it.
Uh-oh, somebody's not on mute. Okay, so when you first put the picture up here, the first thing I saw was this area right here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes,
That's the first thing I saw.
the bulge.
The bulge. And to me, that bulge is always a sign that there's some rotation going on.
Yep.
Now, do you have the x-rays?
Well, I have the x-rays, but they're over a year old.
Well, that'd be okay. I'd still like to see them if I could.
All right. Let me see if I can
The
find
bulge
them.
always tells me that the coffin bone is this area here where I showed you on that foot, where you could see the bones, that the coffin bone and the short pastern bone are being pushed forward. And so the toe of the coffin bone is being pushed down. And that's why you got that bulge there.
Okay.
So then the question is, why is that? Why is that being pushed forward? So we'll look at the rest of the foot.
Can I ask a quick question because my screen is really tiny?
Sure.
Thank you, Linda. The bulge is on the hair, up above the hairline, or it's on the hoof wall?
It's on the hairline. Just a minute. I'm going to open
Okay.
up a picture and enlarge it.
Thank you, Linda. You're the best.
You're the best too, dear.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay. Just a minute here. Okay. I'm going to annotate here. That's good enough. Okay, right here. See that?
Yep.
Yep.
And then the shape of the coronary band groove.
Yep.
Kind of like that. Kind of. So let me just a minute. Stop share. Okay. Just a second. Okay, so now we'll look at another one. Okay, let me get a copy of this save image again so I can enlarge it. New
Bara ska säga något om det här. Jag är ledsen, men...
Okay, it's more from behind here. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, this shows me that you still have a lot of the back of this foot that's been pulled up under and shoved up under this way, which is pushed into the back of those bones and is pushing them out that way. So that your foot is bound from behind here.
Yep.
Let me show you something.
Which is wild because rarely have I trimmed his heels.
It can happen anyway. When did you get this horse?
I've had him for 11 years.
Okay, so you've had him a long time, but this can happen without us even realizing it's happening, for the simple reason that because we don't and haven't really understood and known the back of the foot to be recognizing when things are going south and we're not seeing it. See, sometimes we can be trimming things that we don't even realize and things are going in a bad direction, but we don't see it. And so this has been happening for hundreds of years to these horses, to all the experts. See, that this is a whole foot and that can even be compressed like this and have this happen. See?
Yeah, because that's what has got me so frustrated. It's like I have gone back to her teaching. I've gone back to looking at everyone's teachings on.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have not trimmed this horse's his heels. If you go by the standards, haven't needed to be trimmed, but yet he still suffers.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Yeah, so what happened was because nobody has taught on this thing because nobody knew it was going on even. And so it's been going on with many people and many different ways for centuries.
Right.
And the only reason that I found out was because I could sit here for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and stare at a screen and look at hoof pictures and wonder what's happening.
Right.
See, so if it weren't for the fact that we had the internet and so many photos and stuff, I wouldn't have known it either. But I had time to do that because I don't have any kids. Okay. And I didn't watch television and I wasn't into entertainment and I was obsessed. I'm obsessively trying to figure out what's wrong with my horse. See, and I was told that, hey, this magical trim of the wild horse trim and your horse will have feet like a wild horse. And it wasn't working out. So I had to fix what I broke. And
well, and that's how it was for me some 15 years ago too. And not with this horse, with my first horse, but he doesn't have any feet problems, but this one has got me stumped.
Yeah, so it can happen without us even realizing it. You know, how old was he when you got him?
5.
Okay, so that could even
he was a starvation case.
yeah.
And so he had a lot of problems to begin with, that we have resolved up until 2 years ago when, like I said, he came down with insulin resistance and then was diagnosed with Cushing's, and he foundered with no penetration, but there was rotation.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've had myself and another follower of Maureen's who also does trimming with other methods, try varying things to no avail. And here's where we are.
Yeah. Hold on, I lost where I was. Just a second here. Just a minute, I have to send this lady something. Oh, darn. What is going on here? Just a minute. Hold on, I got lost here.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay, I wanted to look at the bottom. Okay, so let me get a copy of this and turn it around here. So this all could have started, in the first 5 years. See?
Yeah, because I mean, when he came to me, he had these awful feet that the rescue had tried to fix. And then I took over, but at that time I was following some of the other trimming methods and had a couple of different trimmers come out here. And then I trimmed that way, and then finally I was like, look, you guys are just killing me. You're crazy.
Yeah.
And it started me on a path to finding other things, which, like I said, it led me to Maureen, which she helped tremendously, except for then she passed away. And then left me to my own devices.
Yeah.
Which then I had some folks help me on the other people that I know, and it's just been increasingly no change. And to me, after almost 2 years, I would think there should be more change, which then, of course, that's what led me to see your laminar wedge here. And I'm like, crap, is it that?
Yeah.
Hence the reason why I'm here.
Okay. Let me just a minute. I'm trying to get, so I'm sharing in the right spot and I'm lost. There we go. Just a second. We're going to look at the bottom. See, so this all started to happen before you took over. Okay.
I don't see, are you showing my hoof picture?
I will here in just a second here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. See the bottom? We got I'm going to flip him around.
Yep.
Okay. So when I look at this, I can tell that I don't, now have you heard me talk about false heels?
Yes.
Okay. So what I see here is I see a horse that has false heels, that it's not his real heels, and that the whole back of the foot has kind of been pulled under. And what happens then is the heels get shoved up. The physical heels get pushed up. And then all that, the frog corium, everything is being pushed up into the center of that foot and pushing on the back of the coffin joint, where the coffin joint and the short pastern joint are, and it's pushing that forward. And so what that does is that pushes his toe down this way and his wall out that way, and it puts that bulge that you see there. Say. And so when you look at the bottom of this foot and you see these bars are next to nil,
right?
That's because the whole area where the bar grows from, the back of that foot has been, it's like as if you just bent it under, so the area that the bars grow from and everything is all shoved forward. And so, And I don't think that the frog is probably very thick either. The frog doesn't look very healthy. Right here, you see this area right here? That's periopal skin. And that's not supposed to be under the foot. That's when the bulbs have been pulled down and under and forward. And so, so the whole back of his foot has been pulled and shoved and forward, and he's created this false foot. See, that looks like a foot, but isn't the true foot. And
so how would I get to the true foot?
Well, the start is recognizing even what I've told you is the first part.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is you have to start, first of all, growing a better frog, getting some better frog. We're going to have to look at the heels here. Let me look again.
I know they're not the best pictures. I took them really fast because I was like,
that's okay. Let's see here. If you can get better pictures, I can show you more, but let me just look here for a minute. You know, releasing the back of that foot, it might even help to put composite shoes. Remember, I don't know who was just talking, some of the gals from Germany, about how they're putting dental impression material under there and stuff, because let me show you probably what happens if I can find it here. Let's see, where would that be? Documents. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can find a certain picture to show you what's going on.
Well, and I do have, well, last year we used dental impression material. I didn't. I had another trimmer who helped with that because I'd never used it before. And since then, so we used it for a few months and then I stopped. But since then, I have gel pad inserts that I tape. So you saw his other front foot with tape around it, because I have had several different versions of boots that none of them fit at this point. And so I just tape the gel cushion things to the bottom of his foot and tape it all up, which he will run around like crazy, and then of course he comes in the next morning limping. And so I just decided to continue putting these pads on his feet.
I
was like, until I find the answer to why this wedge won't go away.
I don't blame you there. So the answer is to try to unlock the back of that foot and get it to expand. See, you can't do that if you didn't know it was happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you thought those were heels, but they weren't, then you were never taking steps to try and correct it, know? And so the thing to do is to, see, it's not like something I could just say, oh, just do this,
Yeah, no, I understand. It was on a, I was like, oh, I'm going to just do this. I'll just share them with you because I wanted
I'm glad you did,
once you were talking about it, it was like,
everything I do ain't a success. Okay.
Right.
I still have a pony that probably will never be right because she rotated clear up into the coronary band, so I get her comfortable and there's where we're probably going to stay.
Right.
And but I don't think your horse is that. I think your horse can be helped. I think you can restore the back of that foot, which is going to help him a lot. And I think that's the reason for it. It's that whole back of the foot is just shoved up and compressed in there, shoving into those other bones and causing that laminar wedge. Because, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on there. So, let's see here. Let me go back to the pictures. Ta-dum. I'm lost. Oh, stop share. Screen share again. Okay. Like for instance here, let me do a annotate here. Okay, see this area of the hoof wall here?
Yep.
Like if you were to measure this from here to here, and then you were to measure your dorsal wall, what do you think?
Well, it's definitely longer on the back end than the quarters and the heels.
Yeah.
For sure.
See that in
At
and
least
of
from this angle.
at least from this angle, you know, but see that in and of itself, whenever one area kind of sneaks in there and takes over, then it just holds the rest of the foot in that shape. See, and so the the hoof capsule is supposed to be well, like this, like just a minute. Let me just a minute. Okay. Just a second. Okay, so then the very longest tubule will be in the center of the dorsal wall right here. But then as they go back, they're supposed to be in alignment, you know,
Right.
and get shorter as they go back. But what can happen is that these back here, for one reason or the other, usually because at some point the heels were being trimmed out, because you said you had other trimmers that were doing it, right?
Right.
Okay, so when you when they do that, they trim this out here, that puts everything at a different angle.
Right.
See, and so at some point this area back here grew forward to here. Okay, and so this area will hold the whole capsule there. See, this area is holding this, the heels, it'll hold the heels there. So what you got to do is you got to do a program where you're going to do, and you're going to get these capsules realigned, and they're going to be at the right length. Just a minute here. So that this one back here, that's right here, see, and you look at it right there, see it?
Right. Yep.
Okay. That's supposed to be like this here. This capsule right here is supposed to be like this.
Yep. But how do I get it to that without making him sorer than what he is?
Well, and see, this could be a lot of the reason why he's sore too.
Right.
See, so when you start relieving this to start fixing it, he should start getting better, because it's going to release the whole back of his foot to be able to come back up like that. See, this
But-
area is holding that all under there.
So would that mean cutting the heels?
No, not really, because I'm looking here. Just a minute. Let me undo all this. What it is okay, let me get to draw. Okay, you see this area here that goes like that?
Yep.
Okay, that means taking this off like that. And then beveling it. Okay, like more towards the white line right in here, because this is how this works. Just a minute here. Just a second. Let me draw a hoof capsule. Okay, here's your hoof capsule. Okay, so at some point you've had capsule. I'm going to do a different color. Just a minute.
Så.
You've had capsule wall
Mat och sånt där för morgondagen så du har färdigt.
that instead of growing down to here has wound up over here.
Okay.
Okay. And part of the reason it's also wound up over there is because sometimes we aren't real good at taking this area of the wall down like we should. And so we leave it a little bit higher than it should be. And with each trim, it'll kind of start to flare out a little bit, or it'll get jammed up a bit, or it'll be pulled forward a bit. See, and then you wind up with this chunk of hoof wall in here that is not where it's supposed to be and is too long. And you probably, if was to look at the sole view, you probably have not very good connection right in that area too. And so, so here's what happens. So, okay, you got this area of wall in here like this, that's supposed to be like this. And so you got to get it out of there and you got to get it realigned back here. See, to this area right here.
Right.
So this is how I'm going to tell you, it wants to go back there anyway, because there would be constant pressure on it. You know, it's constantly pulling against the foot and the foot's constantly pulling against it. And so what you do in working with these horn tubules is you come in here and so just a minute here. Draw. So yours is kind of looks like this. See there?
Yep.
When you're looking at the side of these feet, you need to realize that they need to look like this. Just a minute here. They need to
Yes,
look,
when I look at them with my eye, they look perfectly.
yeah. Well, but
that makes me go, oh my gosh,
yeah, but I think you'll start to notice now, because let's see here, just a minute here. Undo. Let me undo all this. Okay, this area right here. You should never be able to look at it and see this.
Yeah.
It should never be curved. Let me show you a picture. and you'll see it now when you're standing up looking down, you can see it.
Yep.
It shouldn't ever be rounded. It should look flat and straight.
Mm-hmm.
When it looks rounded is when you've been leaving it to grow too long in trimming. See? And then it becomes a lever right here. And then is when all this wall starts growing. And now part of it too is from trimming the heels out, see? So it's a combination of two things, to where our eyes aren't seeing right and we're actually leaving this a little bit longer than we should. So let me show you this picture here, just a second here. Why is this? Just a minute. I gotta stop annotate. Okay, this might look weird to you, but and that I haven't beveled this foot yet. Okay, but you're gonna see. Let's see, new share. Okay, you see how straight that is?
Yeah.
Right there.
I do.
Now, trying to figure this out, what I started doing was I would take a marker and I would put it on the ground and I would roll the marker across the foot like this. And come to find out, I was always leaving this a little long. And so my horn tubules can't come back, because the principle on getting horn tubules to move back is this. I could, just a second here. Stop share. Annotate. Okay. What you'll see is that for some reason our walls look rounded like so.
Right.
Okay. If you see that, you know you've left your wall too long. Now, this foot is rasped down flat to where it sets flat, and then I'll bevel the wall because that gives these horn tubules room to move. Okay, so here's your horn tubule. See that?
Yep.
No bevel, but when you bevel, that's what it does to the outer tubules. It gives them room. And so if your horn tubule back here has grown forward like that, okay, and you go ahead and you get a flat plane as much as possible, even if it's a little scoop, that's not too bad. But then you bevel it, that puts that horn tubule up like that. You see that?
Yep.
You know what that does? That gives it room to do this. And so then you come out in a couple days and you go, gee, I thought I beveled the wall. It doesn't even look like I beveled it. That's because the wall is wanting to come back. It's not supposed to be here and it knows it. There's constant pressure on it, pulling it back like this. Okay. You came in, you leveled the wall, you beveled the tubule, it gave it room to drop like that. And as it dropped, it moved back. So you come out, you look, you say, gee, it doesn't even look like I beveled the wall. Well, I'll bevel it again. So you bevel the wall again, that brings it up like that and gives it room to move. And so it wants to come back anyway. It will drop down like that, which brings it back. So you come out again. You say, it looks like I didn't even hardly bevel the wall. So you bevel the wall again. And again, it will drop back and down. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, over the years, or especially the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, 7 years, with the minimal changes that we've done with the Maureen trim, how fast the bottom of the foot will change.
Yeah.
And I've even seen, with him, he had what always appeared to be, of course it's going based on her method, that the foot was looking good, and when I looked at it, it looked fine. But from the outside is when you take the pictures, that's when, of course, the last several weeks now, I'm like, good Lord, there's got to be something else that I'm missing here.
Yeah.
And so I can see what you're saying here is take a little bit, maybe I need to do it more often. I mean, if the changes on the bottom of the feet can move or happen almost overnight, maybe taking a little bit off, beveling on like that every few days might help it move back quicker. Instead
And
of,
is that a 45-degree bevel?
Oh, I don't know.
And you're going to the white line, or you going to the yellow line?
Sometimes well, the white line is the yellow line.
Okay, are you taking to the just
water
the
line,
water
line or the white line?
Yeah,
I don't know.
sorry.
I just kind of play it by ear.
Okay.
It's between an eighth and a fourth, and an eighth or 2/8 of an inch difference, or whatever.
Right.
The angle of your bevel doesn't matter as much as you're just giving it some room.
Okay.
And here I think you're flared here.
yeah, I mean, if you look at the sole, he is puffed out, and I think that also one side might be thicker. The wall thickness is greater, and so and I have to say, in these pictures, so normally we bevel from the sole out, right? So from the white line out, from the Maureen trim.
Okay.
And with my other horse, it keeps his feet looking really nice. He's sound, with him, I try it, and he still looks kind of wonky now. So a couple years ago, when Maureen was still alive, we were having it under control. Um, and but so this time I decided to trim to bevel. So we beveled underneath, but then I also did a little stronger bevel on the outside
Uh-huh.
because her bevel is always from the bottom out. And then rarely did we do um, like any cleanup on the outside when the hoof was on a stand. But
Uh-huh.
this time I decided, well, I'm going to take some off on the top and see if
Yeah.
that changes anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's been.
Grasping at straws.
Yeah. Well, it's been because I don't want to see him be gimpy for one
Yeah.
thing. But for two, it's like, why can't I get rid of this wedge?
Hmm.
What am I missing that I can't get rid of this wedge?
Yeah.
Which sent me to look on the internet, which found, of course, I found you. And somehow the thing that I found was you talking about the laminar wedge. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the missing piece.
Yeah. Well, there's probably some stuff here that'll help, and see that
Yeah.
is a flare that's caused by leaving that area too long and not realizing it, leaving
Yeah.
it too high. It's really a sneaky, sneaky area right there.
Okay.
And so, um, uh, so, so it started to flare, and probably over here some too. See, so let me show you something here. Undo, um, new share. Okay, we got this right here. Okay, so that's that area.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's easy, this one area, to leave too high, and then it just starts to take over.
Yeah.
Okay, and so of course this part couldn't come back either because this is all holding everything right there. See, when you're looking at it the side, how it dips down?
Yeah.
That's from just leaving it a little too high
Okay.
every time. And so they take the path of least resistance. They'll shove up that way, and then when that ain't working no more, then they'll start to flare out. So you got a little flaring out going there. I have to really, really, really watch that area because I think everybody is prone to leave this area high. See, and then it just becomes a problem. And of course, that's keeping your heels from moving back and expanding out too.
Yep.
So just
So if I go in there and I remove a little bit of that area every couple of days or something, and see what happens, because I'm all for trying something to see what happens.
yeah. I would come in here and I would take that. I would look, if you really look down at the heels and you look at the side, you're going to see that this is actually high, and
Yeah.
it's, of course, it's flared out, but another thing it's going to want to do is suck in. As soon as you start relieving it, it will want to suck back in. See? So I would take that off and then bevel that.
Okay.
Well, see, you're already beveled right to there. Really, it's this little chunk right here.
Yep.
See, right there. That's really holding you up.
Yep.
That's holding your heels under, everything like that. It's funny how one little part of the hoof that gets out of alignment can start to take over everything else.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be something in the back of the foot that I was missing, because I felt like I was addressing at least the toe as much as I could. Although,
Yeah.
the picture from the sole, again, it's been a few weeks since I've done anything, and this last few weeks has been on a soul searching mission of
I
getting
can
rid of this
understand.
wedge.
Yeah.
But when I started taking these pictures the other day, I was like, okay, so just looking at everything that I have learned over the years and then looking at what you were saying, I was like, yeah, okay, I think I'm going to have to do something here that I've not done apparently correctly in the past. So, and again, on the continuing to do the same things over and over again and expecting different results is what got me here.
Yeah, well, that's what got me here too. You
So,
know, it's when I started growing heels before I even really realized I should be growing heels. No kidding. I'd wake up in the morning and I had that very thing going through my head. Insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over and expecting different results. On the very issue of the heels, I just, you know, I think it's God saying,
yeah.
wake up, you know.
Well, and that's, I mean, I, with my other horse, I had once, when I first started on the barefoot journey many, many years ago, there was a guy who came out that it was recommended to me, and I let him whack the crap out of my other horse's feet. And the day that I started questioning him, he was like, I told you, the first time you questioned me, I'm not coming back. And he
That's
never came
horrible.
back. And I was like, what the hell? And then I found many others that were the same way.
That's horrible.
I so I have probably as many horror stories as you might have.
Yeah.
And it is why that I had fallen in love with Maureen, um,
Yeah.
because she didn't whack the heels off, and she helped me with my other horse tremendously. And this one she was helping me with, and then of course she passed away, and we were doing really well, and I was helping others, um, and but then he got laminitis, and I don't have any experience with laminitis, and so we kind of been foundering ever since ourselves. Myself,
Been foundering.
yeah,
It's called floundering.
yes, floundering. That's true.
Floundering in the founder.
Yep. So, well, I really appreciate this. I'm gonna see about this weekend because I won't be able to do it until this weekend. But trying to get rid of a little bit of that area and see what happens, and then do a little bit every few days to see if I can get those tubulars back so they can at least relax, and then hopefully after many, many months, the wedge will go away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my fingers.
I think it'll help a lot. And that's I really believe that it's the back of the foot in this case that is causing the wedge.
Okay.
See, just a minute here. I was going to look at the heel picture.
Yep.
Oops. Just a minute.
And I'll try to find his x-rays. I have them somewhere. And I'll send them to you in Messenger. But they are from, like, I think it's October of 2019 was when they were taken. That's when he was in the worst shape. I mean, like I said, now he'll run around, and then he'll come up sore, and then he won't run around for a few days, and then all of a sudden he'll start running around again. And I started a month or so ago taping those pads on his feet, which I think is helping him run around a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I'm going to show you. I just seen something. Just a second here.
Okay.
Okay. Just a second here. Let me get this. Let's see. Stop share. Screen share. Okay, so I got him in paint here, and I'm going to show you. Resize. Let's see. Okay, let me flip this around just a second. Oops. Okay. See now, here I can even see where, okay, do you see where your heel is right here?
Yep.
Okay, now look at that part we were looking at over here. See how it's higher?
Yep.
See, and this is really good for everybody to really be able to look past your heel here over to this part of the foot.
Yeah.
See, this part right in here. You'll find a lot of times you're leaving. Now, let me get that stupid part out of there just a minute. this area right here. Okay, you'll find a lot of times you leave this area high. And we can't see over here, but a lot of times you'll see it over here too.
Right.
That's why I said you come in there and you're gonna take this area down basically, you know, and then bevel it on the side over here, maybe a little bit, and start watching this. See, it wants to come in. Look, see how it's
Yeah.
flared out?
Yep.
It wants to suck in like that. See? So, and look here, look at your frog stay is, just a minute here. Your frog stay is, I got to find something to draw with. Hold on. Your frog stay is clear down here. This here is scarring. Okay, this here should be clear up here,
Wow.
like that. And then, and these bulbs here that are here should be clear up here, like so. With bulb skin that's only that wide. And then this would be all full of actually frog. The frog would be pulled back up behind the foot, and then you'd have a frog stay right here, big thick piece of frog. Now you got periopal skin that goes over them too. So see, if this is supposed to be up here and it's all pushed down under the foot, then where's everything in front of it going? Internally. See what I mean? It's pressing up internally into the coffin joint and pushing it out. And that's why you got that big bulge in front. And what it does is it bends that toe and pushes it back, and it pushes the wall forward. And that's why you got a laminar wedge in the toe. That's why you got the flare, the laminar wedge, whatever's going on in that toe.
Right.
So as soon as you get this area, start getting this area under control, and you start kind of trimming up this skin in here a little bit, you know, and keeping your frog trimmed and healthy, then it's going to start growing and repairing itself, and maybe where it's been pushed under, like so, it'll start being pushed back, like so. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay. See,
And it's a slow process.
yeah, it's a slow process, but see, none of us knew that the whole back of the foot here, and see, I can even tell by your hairline here that goes down like that, because let me show you. Let's see, try and find a good foot. We've never seen a good foot. Like I always we've never seen a really good foot. It's and understood it. And Bracy Clark, that was a veterinarian back in the 1800s, he realized that him and his contemporaries and peers had been looking at deformed feet and forming judgments on how to shoe and how to trim and what a healthy, good foot was on deformed feet. See, and so that's what we've been doing too, because we really have not understood or known the back of this foot here.
Yeah.
See, let me find a picture to put along next to that. Just a second of relatively, just where my horse's foot is at now. Just a minute here. How do I unannotate? Oh, I think I was, just a second. New share. Okay. Well, this is from a year or so ago. It's a lot different now, but okay. So do you kind of see the difference there?
I just see all the pictures. I don't.
Oh,
see.
sorry.
That's okay.
New share. Okay. See the thickness of sole here and how it fills up the bars and the heels.
Yep.
And stuff. Let's see. With paint. Oh, that's way too big. Just a second here. Okay, so this area right here, it's really easy to let it take control. See?
Yeah.
Just a minute here. Okay, look at the bulb. See the difference in the bulb there?
Yeah.
Okay, and this would be frog here. So let me get some here and compare. Just a second here. You know, here's the thing, how can we go there if we don't know what's there? And if we have been thinking that abnormal is the normal, then we wouldn't know where to go, right?
Right. And that's, I think it's another thing that I learned through Maureen. She felt the same as you, that we all have been looking at distorted. We are holding a distorted hoof that we're calling normal.
Yeah.
And that's what other trimmers and things are saying. And, of course, she also was a strong believer of not over trimming.
Yeah.
And of course, leaving the heels, but to a certain height. And then you can trim them if they get too long, but which is what we've been doing. And like I said, well, you know where we are now.
Yeah.
This wedge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why can't I get rid of it?
Yeah. And so, so you see your bulbs here, right here on this horse, they're right here.
Yeah.
See, and there's where the frog stay is in here, but yours is clear down here. So all of this here has been pulled under the foot. And so everything in front of it then has been shoved in and is pushing up internally that way on the interior of the foot. Look at the difference in the hairline. See there how it's pulled down?
Yep.
Okay, see there how that kind of goes like that. And that was last year. He looks even a little different now. This bulb area is even narrower now with thicker frogs. So like that was in 2019. So it's been a while. Okay, so anyway.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to try that, and I'll try to find his x-rays, and I'll message them to you. And,
that'd
we'll
be great.
See what happens. Thank you for
You're
your
welcome,
time.
and nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you and stuff. Good to have you hanging out with us.
Yes. Well, like I said, I'm always interested in learning, and what you were saying about the laminar wedge and all really piqued my curiosity, as that was an area that is affecting me right now.
Yeah.
and that I haven't been able to get rid of it. And so, and I've never had to deal with laminitis before. This is my first time, and
it's frustrating.
It's best to try to see I can gain as much knowledge everywhere as I possibly can. And so I really appreciate it. And,
well, I really believe if you could get the back of the foot straightened out and that unfolding, that it'll take care of what's going on in your dorsal wall.
Okay. It's definitely, I'm going to try it.
I'm going to
try it. And I'm going to pray that it's going to work, because I've tried just about everything else.
Okay. Well, it's not going to work overnight, as you know.
I know that. That I know. It's probably going to be a year or two, but it's,
but I think you'll start seeing a difference when you get that part that's taken over here.
Yeah.
And I noticed too, look here, see, I have a tendency to leave that little part high on there.
It's so easy to do when I trim. It's like, oh, okay, I got the bevel. And Maureen, she always has a 20-degree bevel. And it's like, okay, I think I got everything. It looks good. And then I don't take pictures for months. And then I take a
Yeah.
picture now and it's like, oh my God, my eyes, what is wrong with my eyes?
Yeah. Well, and that's why we use a protractor.
Yeah.
Have you seen the mapping?
I have. I've
I
looked
do.
at pretty much all of your videos.
Okay. And see, I know that my eyes aren't right, and that's why I use a protractor. And that's why taking pictures is a big part of this trim, because I know our eyes are not correct.
Yeah.
And the
Mine,
pictures show you.
well, and I think one of my fears lately is, because I know I do have already an eye problem, is my eye problem causing me to trim not correctly? Whereas when I was younger, it was much easier
Yeah.
and I was more precise.
Yeah.
Um, and am I inflicting this on my horse because of my trimming, because of my eyes?
Yeah. Well, it's more than that. I mean, you've already been through all these trimmers that trim the heels out. That had
Yeah.
an effect, all these things. And what I'm showing you here is not something that people know or see. They don't know that the whole back of this foot is being pulled down and compressed in this foot binding, just like Chinese foot binding.
Yeah.
They don't know this is going on. So, to be able to fix any of these things, we have to understand, well, why is it happening to begin with? What's
Yeah.
going on? What's happening,
Yeah, and of course, as I've gotten older, be willing and open to try,
Yeah.
to make changes to what
Yeah.
especially if something is not working.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the whole thing for me is trying to, well, the utmost thing is making sure my horses are not gimpy, and
Mhm.
hurting, and if there's something that I can do to fix it and hopefully not make it worse. And I know, from his case, because he's got Cushing's and he's got, whether that's coming from the inflammation, the
Mhm.
IR that he has is all wrapped together, or is if it's truly separate. How long does he have with me? I don't know, but I want to make it be as comfortable as
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah,
so
like all of us, kind of we're all in the same boat.
right, exactly. So, yep. Thank you, and I'll keep you posted.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I want
And
I
sorry
want
if
to
I
know.
took over. Hopefully, nobody
No,
had
no, that's great.
any
That's
more.
great. This is a great case to look at,
Yep.
you know. So, a good example and
Yes.
stuff. It was a good example because immediately seeing that bulge in the hairline in the front.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. It's one of those things when you look at them in real life, you don't see it. And it
No,
was
you
when I
don't.
took the picture the other day, I was like, crap, I need to get these pictures just to get an opinion of what is going on.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I'm glad you came and you shared them.
Well, thank you.
So we all work to learn together and see, we all learn from each other,
Right. Well,
you know.
that too, I know too, because not everyone knows everything. And when we try different things, different things could happen. I'm
Yep.
trying to look for a good thing for him,
Yeah,
for my four horse.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good luck.
Thank you. And I'll stay in touch and I'll let you know.
Okay.
I appreciate letting me attend these sessions. I've been listening for the last couple of weeks. So,
Oh, great. Okay.
yep.
Okay, thanks,
All right.
Kathy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Um, okay, so does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or questions or anything like that? Because if not, we're going to call it a day. But I'm willing, if anybody have anything at all? Let's see, who all's here? Got Eva, Allie, Anka, Carrie, Kathy, Costas, Dorota. Hi, Dorota. Lisa.
Linda. Well, maybe I have just a word.
Okay.
Because the first time I have Annie the Shire, the first time ever, maybe even in first time in her life, I see the flat foot, she is high-low. In the flat foot, I see revealing of the bulbs that are going up, like they where they're supposed to be. And I think it's a combination of things, of the rain we have recently and me finally correcting trimming her in the back of her foot. So it's definitely possible to happen, like you said, with the previous lady, that if she'll do it, it will work. Yes, it does work, definitely. And there are combinations of things. And when I was reading and just hearing what Ruiza was doing with the dental material, dental pressure, or whatever it's called, and I thought that all may be very difficult to put for Amy because she just has humongous foot and her weight is a lot. It's 19 hands horse. But now when I've seen that finally her hoofs unbound and that flat foot is standing up slowly, then it's a really big hope, and I see it works. It's definitely everything what you're saying, it works beautifully, but it's so hard to remember every part that we have our eyes on, like you said, about that back of the foot. And I know about it, you've said it many times to us, but it still gets forgetting. And I always say, oh, I don't need a map because I see hoof well and I'm trimming so many years now, but it's definitely now I know the mapping, even for us who trim for many years, mapping is the key too. So everything needs to be done, like you said, and then it works. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, that is really good news because she is a big horse. And so for her foot to finally be unlocking and standing up more and changing, that's a big deal.
It's the first time, and she's 18, so that's a lot for a Shire. Actually, I follow a breeder who breeds for 40 years. There are not many breeders in England of the Shire horse, and they've got one mare that it's 19, and they always point that this is an old lady, and he doesn't have many older Shires, so I wouldn't dare to ask, but I suspect those big heavy horses, they don't live that long as the average size horse. So for her to be that old and be sound, that's very good.
That's great. It's wonderful.
You. I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're sure welcome, and I got to tell you that I just have enjoyed you and your friendship and your beautiful paintings and seeing that beautiful mare and all the wonderful different poses and paintings and people and everything.
And everything, it's all, and the feet are so important, especially for that size. If for ponies, for any horse, of course, but with her, the weight is, I see the difference. It's even impossible to explain. And I've seen so many horses in my life, been working in England and on the yard, and we had a swap of horses often. And then the Shire is just different, something different, very heavy. And when I bought her, my farrier said, Dorota, what you've done, you will never ride it. They are too heavy. She's just too heavy. And he gave me about 15 humongous shoes to take, the iron shoes to take back to Poland. So that was, anyway, just thought to tell you that it finally works. And if we follow the best we can, what you say, and the mapping is important and everything, it works. And the combination with wet weather is wonderful. So it's just great.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful to hear about her. It makes me really happy.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Bye.
Hey, thank you, Dorota. Well, that's wonderful news. You know, because you think it's hard to rehab a regular size horse. I tell you, I think it's the ponies and the big horses that are the toughest. You know, the big horses because they're so heavy, and the ponies because everything's twice as much in the same amount of time. You got the same growth rate, but it's a smaller foot, so it's like twice as much. That's what I've noticed, like with my pony. Their feet just get away from me quicker. But anyway, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say or ask or anything? Okay, well, hey, I want everybody to have a great week. Thanks for coming and participating. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll learn some stuff this week. Hi, Tiffany. And just hi, everybody. Gee, glad you're here. We will see you next week. Happy trimming. And God bless everyone. Okay.
God bless you, Linda.
Yeah.
Is that
Thank
you?
you.
Who is that?
It's me, Risa.
I didn't even see you on there. Hi. Well, you were quiet today.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a headache, so I was just listening.
Lumi, why are you Lumi? Hi, how are you?
I snuck in after my my cranial sacral assessment class was over.
Oh, well, it's great
Actually-
to have you here. Good to see you.
Actually, since Lumi is here, I do have a quick share, and it was actually a chat that I had with Lumi this morning, because she recognized in Hefner's images that there's a possible correlation between when I took off his shoes and his cranial sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. His cranial bones started to shift, and they shifted out of balance. Maybe because I took the shoes off and he has a high-low, which in his body created a medial lateral imbalance, which caused the shift of the eyes. And now that his body is getting back in balance with the correct trimming, that his cranial muscles are starting to correct again with good cranial sacral work also. So that was a nice tech. Oh, go ahead.
Let me butt in there. I actually see it the opposite. That I think he had the cranial, the imbalance in his cranium that was starting to change, go through his body, change the way he loads. And that because he was shod all these years, those changes were very incremental. And so you ended up with these distorted small hoofs, but then and then I did the cranial sacral work, but then as soon as she moved and she pulled off the shoes, the whole pattern just took over again. And then through the fact that Tiffany is learning how to balance the foot out herself, and then she eventually found a good cranial sacral practitioner, it's all coming back together. But we were wondering when his eyes became so uneven, because they were never like that before. And it seems, we're not sure, but it seems to have correlated about when she pulled shoes. And that kind of goes to what I was saying before about, like, I don't really have farriers here that I can work with, but I can work in coordination with the barefoot trimmer, even without them understanding what I'm doing. But yeah, but those things do relate, because if you have an imbalance up high in the body, it reflects in the feet. And if you have the imbalance in the feet, it reflects back up in the body. So I think everything went wild when she pulled the shoes, and the feet just like went au naturel, and all the pattern just took over. And then once she's figured out how to work it from the bottom, and someone came in and worked it from the top, everything is evening out really nicely. Maybe next time Tiffany could even show the cranial photos.
I just sent Linda a messenger with the pictures.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, he literally went from looking like a Muppet to looking like a horse again.
You did?
But the thing that honestly, the thing that got me thinking about this was what you said last 2 weeks ago, I think, Linda, is that we were looking at the medial lateral in the foot, and then we were also discussing high-low, and you're like, oh, like high-low is really just a medial lateral in the body.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see, like the eyes on the before picture on the left are very out of balance. And then even look at the way he's choosing to organize himself.
Yes,
And
look
then
at his
once,
feet.
yeah, and then once his eyes and his cranium is balanced, he can balance over his front feet.
Yeah, that makes sense. And even at I don't know if we comment on this, his nostrils.
His nostrils.
Absolutely.
Yep.
His pole.
Even his
look
ears,
at his pole. Yeah.
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 If you look at his ears, his pole. So imagine all that tension going through the jaw, going through the shoulder, through the legs, and then what, of course you're going to end up with feet that are unbalanced. So she had a high-low and a medial lateral in the high. So it's, you can see now like why balancing out the foot and balancing out the body, it's important to have that whole horse approach.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's just like, going to a chiropractor.
Yeah.
From being working all my life and stuff like that, you get out of balance and then you go to the chiropractor and he helps you out.
Well, it's funny because I also explain to people if they wear out their shoes unevenly, but then they go to the chiropractor, if you don't change your shoes, like if you don't change out those shoes, it puts the pattern back in your body. So, and that's something that, like, of course, as horse people, we can understand that, but, regular humans, normal humans, they don't understand that. Like they scratch their head and they're like, you think? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, you're wearing it in the old pattern.
Yeah. Well, and they're showing more and more, with the internet and stuff, there's lots more, look at all the people coming up with orthotics.
Well, I mean,
some of them are horrible.
Well, actually, somebody was telling me today. I actually worked on a human. I worked on a trimmer today, a barefoot trimmer, and got done because she had actually gotten almost trampled by a horse and thrown into and like threw herself into a wall. So anyhow, I worked on her, and at the end, both of her feet were turned in and they felt like as hard as iron. And she said, yeah, she goes, when I was born with my feet turned in and her toes were intertwined.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so, but of course, back then, like nobody in her family sphere knew about cranial sacral. So they basically put these shoes on with plates that forced her feet out. Yeah.
Yeah. My cousin had that same thing when she was a baby.
Yeah. And so, and I, and here she is, and she's like pushing 50, and I can feel that in her feet. Mm-hmm. I told her next time we'd work on her feet. But yeah, this is somebody who, when she was born, whatever imbalance, whatever happened in utero or even during birth, came out through her feet, and they only tried to correct her feet. Mm-hmm. And so that can create even that itself, only correcting the feet. I think Riza said something about that. Like he was cautioning me about trying to correct the high, because I can, because the horse, if the horse is sound that way, then you could actually trim him into unsoundness. And so anyway, that's why this discussion here with your hoof chat discussion has been really interesting for me, because it's changing the way I'm thinking, because we always think about going to the distortion and and it's but if that's where they're sound, you might want to let them live there for a while,
for now.
Stay there, or like, but in other words, really, have like you can see on Tiffany's horse Hefner, that he needed a full body approach, mm-hmm. and she had to find the right people to support her in this.
Yeah, and he's doing good, looking good. His eye looks so much softer, and well, I mean, in the other picture, you can just see he just looks like he don't feel good.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely. I mean, you can see there's some cranial damage right in the middle of his head there. And how much more strain there is on you know, in that first picture. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, so yeah, I think he's happier in his head and happier in his feet now.
Yep. Happy feet.
Yep.
Well, great. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. Because I don't think about that stuff because I specialize in this area, you know, and so it's good to have other people who are in other areas sharing back different things that also make a difference that we need to know.
Oh, sure. And Riza, I'm working on getting those names for you. I have a couple leads.
Okay, where are they normally based? Where are they based?
Well, actually, these people, I've gotten, there's two people, and I just got to make sure I have their contact information, but they're, unfortunately, they're based in the Netherlands, but they travel and to South Africa, because the people that I've, apparently the person that I trained with did one class in South Africa, but everybody that she's trained there they've only taken one class. But as far as like somebody who has a lot of experience and, you know, and has been, you know, and has received a lot of training. She said there's two people from the Netherlands that she trained that have been going there. So I just want to confirm that before I get you the info.
You don't have names of these people?
I do have to, I mean, I can get them for you this evening and just, and put them on your face, you know, and send direct message you on Facebook or something.
That would be great, thanks.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Is there anything else that anybody'd like to share before we sign off for today?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Did you have something, Riza?
No, it's fine. I was just getting off topic, but it's fine. Let the person speak who wanted to speak.
Who?
Hi, thank you, Riza, and Linda. I had a question. It's slightly off topic, but related to what we were talking about earlier, with like laminitis and stuff. And so what I understood was that, you know, the laminitis occurring due to like multiple factors, but a lot of it because of the trim or the lack of trim, or a lot of, like, as you would say, mechanical laminitis. And then you were talking about how that causes stress, and then the stress causes metabolic issues. So of course, you know, like, right, which thing is first, and what, you know, so, but my other question was about like the diet. And I know, like you said, a lot of people blame it on the diet, but I was just wondering if we could, like, someone could give, or you could give some more explanation about that. I know a lot of people are interested in going like a grain-free diet and doing only minerals and stuff. So I just want to know more about how you view grain diets and the connection to the feet.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm gluten intolerant. So I can relate to that. I just know that you know, I don't know that much about it, so I can't really tell you. I just know that my pony, if I let her eat too much grass in the spring, she has a bout. You know.
Yeah. Can I just cut in a little bit there?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. In fact, I was actually doing a horse today that has suffered laminitis, a bout of laminitis. And look, she started about 2 weeks ago, and it also happened because this pony was basically too fat, and you know, she actually was let loose on the autumn grass and stuff like that, and she kind of ate a bout of laminitis. And but I suspected this. I mean, a while back, I suspected that this horse has got some metabolic problem anyway, because of all the fatty pockets on her neck and a bum area, and you know, like the classic signs of Cushing's, you know. So with laminitis, we treat the feet, okay, as trimmers, farriers, we are trained to treat the feet. But the problem is mechanical laminitis and actual laminitis, toxic laminitis, is completely two different things.
Mm.
Whereas with mechanical laminitis is a bad trimmer in a healthy horse. Where with the classic laminitis, or you could say the toxic laminitis, is a bad hindgut that has adverse effects on the feet, which then will be treated with 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 a different approach to try and keep the horse comfortable. But what I've found is with most laminitis cases, I'm not talking about trimming induced laminitis, I'm talking about most laminitis cases, these horses have either underlying issue with EMS, but most of them, I mean, this is like I've found with most of the laminitis cases. Well, actually, in fact, I haven't found one that hasn't got Cushing's, or Cushing's that hasn't been diagnosed as such, but all the signs are basically there. So now Cushing's is more of a hormone imbalance type of thing. It's where the hormones gets out of whack, the pituitary gland gets out of whack, and the horses like that is always hungry. It's almost like they can't get enough to eat. They always want to eat, eat, eat. The body doesn't tell them, listen, cut off time, you can't eat anymore. You know what I'm saying? So they're always hungry, and the more you give them, the more they eat. And that actually causes basically kind of a toxic, like I can say this, the hormones is not basically processing the sugars in the feed, and it becomes toxic, and then it causes inflammation in your laminae, which basically is laminitis. But laminitis and rotation is two different things, not different things, it's the same thing, but it's a worse situation of the other. So if you have laminitis only means inflammation in the laminae, where the hoof wall and your actual inner foot is connected. So that laminae in between that holds them together becomes inflamed, and the horse will become sore and footy. And sometimes horses just footy, and people think, well, it's maybe the trim or something. But maybe, I mean, I found a horse that I've trimmed, like say 5 weeks ago, and he's ready for a new trim, for another trim, and nothing really happened to him besides his Cushing's that was playing up. And then the lady would phone me and say, well, he's due for a trim, but he's gone very footy. And I said, well, I could understand if I trimmed him and he was short, I trimmed him maybe too short, he would be a bit footy, but I haven't touched him, so he's due for a trim. But why is he footy? It's because the laminae in between the hoof wall and the actual inner foot has become inflamed, and that is what's causing the laminitis. So laminitis in the toxic sense, not the mechanical or trimming induced one, is more of a hormone imbalance and a hindgut issue. Because if they've got hindgut issues, you will find that their feet they'll always be like a bit footy, or they're not growing enough thick enough sole, or there's always an issue in the feet because the feet gets the last of the nutrition. So if the body cannot take enough nutrition out of the food and correctly process it and distribute it, the feet is going to suffer first. So you'll get the problem where the coat and the feet is the last two, is basically the furthest away from any, if you can call it, nutrients carrying blood, is your skin and your feet. So those are the two issues that will suffer, two areas that will suffer. So in laminitis, like I said, all laminitis cases that I've seen, they always had an EMS or Cushing's. Sometimes the Cushing's wasn't diagnosed, but if you look at the horse and you look at all the signs, and you can clearly see this is where the problem is, which hasn't been treated for a long time. And these things have just been building up till that point where this horse just goes in the grass and has too much, or has some grain that is too much for him, and boom, it will just put him over the tipping point, and he will suffer a bout of laminitis.
You know what I was just thinking when I was listening to it? Just a minute.
Sorry, I was just going to say
How diabetics always have feet problems.
Oh.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
You see, with diabetics, it's a lot to do with their pancreas not processing the sugars properly, and obviously not releasing enough insulin to secure basic the what you can call it, the sugars to be turned into fats and stuff like that. So there's different types of diabetes, but mostly with diabetes, it's your pancreas that's not working correctly, and it's not processing. Basically your sugar levels get too high, and that type of sugar level in your blood destroys your basic nervous your nerves in your lower limbs, like your
That's
fingertips.
because the sugar molecule is really big. And when
Yes,
when it's going through the blood vessels, the tinier and
yeah,
tinier the blood
it's almost
vessels
like it's
get.
crystallizing in areas and destroying your
That's why diabetics have foot
your
problems.
nerve endings. Your nerve endings, yeah. I mean, my father had diabetes, and he didn't even know. He bent his foot underneath, and he didn't even know until it was a
It
septic
destroys
wound.
the nerve endings too. That's right.
So
Yeah.
what did he do for a living?
Who, my father?
Yeah.
He was a builder.
Yeah. Okay. So he worked hard, right?
Yes, all day long.
So in that kind of work, there's a lot of inflammation in the body.
Yes.
Okay. So look at the stuff they're learning now, like this one thing here. I just put in these words, stress, inflammation, diabetes, because these metabolic insulin resistant horses or whatever, it's kind of like a horse with diabetes to a degree, in it.
Yeah, it's the same type of.
Okay, same deal. So look here, I just pump this into the Google thing. It says, look here, it says stress, inflammation, diabetes. Well, like here, conversely, increased oxidative stress and inflammation can lead to insulin resistance and impaired insulin secretion. And so there's all these deals now talking about how inflammation leads to stress, and then it can all lead to, this, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg here,
Yeah, it's exactly. The one gives rise to the other, and the other gives rise to the other, and then it starts just spinning out of control. So it could be feet that's hurting and causing stress, and then buggering up the hormonal system, which then in turn buggers up the hindgut, which then in turn buggers up the feet even more.
Yeah, it's like that song, the ankle bone's connected to the whatever bone.
Well, and I just want to add that I think it's interesting as it relates to my horse who has laminitis. I of course adopted him, and he had feet that were not the best. And a few years afterwards, I started noticing him urinating a lot and drinking a lot. And I had the vet come out and test him, and thinking he had Cushing's disease. And he came up at that time with insulin resistance. And then we tried to make some changes feed wise and everything at that point. His feet started getting under control, and then like 3 years later he founders, and we test him again and he had Cushing's. And so I felt he had Cushing's the whole entire time.
Exactly. But they misdiagnosed it as EMS, causing it insulin resistant, then put the horse on metformin, which really doesn't work, because the Cushing's has got to do with your glands and your hormones, which is not working correctly. So you've got to get that
He's
under
on
control.
Medication now, but it just, I think it's one of those sneaky things that, if you identify, like for me, those many years ago, and said, no, forget what this test result says, negative. I want to treat him like he is Cushing's.
But that's exactly what I do now. When I see that, and I get to a case like that, I said, I don't care what your vet says. put him on the Cushing's medication and let him go on that.
Now,
because
is that an anti-inflammatory, or what is that medication?
it's more of a hormonal stabilizer.
Dopamine something.
Okay.
He's on Pergolide. Or
Pergolide,
Percent.
Pergolide.
Pergolide is
works
the generic, but yeah, it's
There's also the
Percent,
percent,
Pergolide.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Percent is the pill that I give him every day. And,
The my horse just moved home, but the boarding barn where she was, you know, for the past couple of years, increased cases of Cushing's. Like there out of 15 horses, there's probably 6 of them that had Cushing's, which I think is kind of a lot for one small population of a barn.
Are they all being trimmed by the same farrier?
Yeah, exactly. All the same stuff that you mentioned. And, you know, so I've been mulling over like taking my horse off grain and blah, 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 all this stuff. But it's like, you know, confusing to figure out, is it, you know, is it the grain? Is it the sugar? Is it the grass? Is it because now she has more grass access, not a lot, but you know, if she had it her way, she wouldn't touch anything. She would only eat grass.
Yeah.
Well,
so, you know,
the grass wouldn't be a problem if they didn't have already an underlying condition.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes
the
sense.
grass is not what's going to give your horse Cushing's. It's just going to exacerbate it if it's got an underlying condition. But I mean, if it doesn't have any conditions, it can eat grass all day long and nothing will happen to it.
Well, doesn't it? It depends on the time of year too, how bad it's going to be, don't you think?
Yeah, you see that the time of year is more to do with the horse's body than the actual grass. You know, everybody thinks, oh well, it's the spring grass or it's the autumn grass or it's not actually that. If you test the grass would stay the same probably. But what is different is when it comes to autumn going into winter, the horse's body is feeling the change in the temperature, feeling the change in the atmosphere, and his body is now telling him, you've got to put on weight before winter comes because you're going to starve in winter. There's going to be no food. I mean, this is just innate thing in the horses. So what happens is his body starts changing, starting growing a coat because now it's going to get colder. So now his body's also just trying to fatten him up as such. So when that happens, it's all got to do with the hormones. So the hormones go slightly out of whack because we blanket our horses and we give them extra food, and their body's trying to put a layer of fat on so they can stay through the winter and make it through the winter. But our horses are already too fat. So when they add that extra fat and they add that extra, the whole body goes out of whack, and that's when they start getting issues like Cushing's and Laminitis and all sorts of issues because they're going over the tipping point, basically.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
So yeah, so with Laminitis, you must always look at the weight of the horse, the amount of work that he does, the amount of food that he gets, and also you know, the hormones will change from season to season. So even coming out of winter, going back into springtime now. Now what happens in springtime? Grasses started growing and all sorts of things. So now the horse's body says, okay, it's getting warmer. You've gone through this winter. You need to replenish everything. So once that starts kicking in, but your horse was blanketed, standing in the stable maybe, and getting fed. But now when he gets out there, he gets the spring grass, and they say it's the spring grass, but it's not the spring grass. It's just his body that is saying you need to eat to get you back your body weight that you've lost during the winter, but you didn't lose anything in the winter. So then that's also another tipping point for Laminitis. So it's to do with, you'll find it a lot in autumn going into winter, and coming out of winter going into summer, you know, like springtime.
I guess because
so
technically the grass isn't getting, I don't know what kind of changes it goes through in the winter, or in the autumn, you know.
Yeah.
But I know here, I do know here that with this kind of grass, which is fescue, which is different than like the wild grasses like they'd have in like Africa and stuff, but this fescue grass that these that's an easy growing grass that these farmers plant. Okay, it gets something in it that is really bad for cattle that they call fescue foot. That affects the circulation.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And so they give a certain kind of mineral to these cattle so that they hopefully won't get fescue foot. Huh?
Yeah, to balance it out.
Yeah.
Whatever the stuff is that's causing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. So that's why I say with horses, I mean, if your horse was just grazing and you didn't feed it and you didn't put a blanket on it and nothing, I don't think you'd even get laminitis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, and there's a type of ryegrass that people used to take the seeds from to make bread with.
Yeah,
and it had something in it that would screw up the circulation in people's legs. And so the monks and the priests were always
Det kan vara att den inte är betald och det är en påminnelsefaktura från härskapet i Nynäs kanske.
Somebody's not muted and talking about something.
Också inte faktura automatiskt.
Let's see if I can find who that is. But anyway, do you understand what I'm saying? I forgot what it's called. But it literally has an effect on the circulation in the legs.
Yeah, and if it's got an effect on the circulation in the legs, you must think of the smaller capillaries in the hoof and in the foot, which is going to be affected as well in that way. Because I mean, if it affects that, and it disrupts the bigger veins in your legs. Imagine the disruption in the smaller capillaries.
Nu håller de på att leta på webben här. Och det är Resa som håller på. Jag ska köra en leave.
Is rye okay? There is some sort of rye bread that affected people's legs, and they used to have their toes amputated and stuff.
Yeah, but you see, the lower it goes to the smaller capillaries, it causes probably blockages and stuff up there.
There it is. This stuff right here, ergot fungus. See, it was also a hallucinogen. Huh. Well, anyway.
That does not sound like a good time.
Yeah. So
like, oh my God.
So yeah, well, it made you look good there, didn't it?
Well, I was telling Tiffany, who, you know, she and I share a lot of this information, but when we first moved to this farm 2 years ago, we had an infestation of Jimson weed, which is like so bad. You know, I believe it's very toxic for humans. I believe it's very toxic for animals, but it makes you hallucinate very, very bad. I say, okay, we got to get rid of all this because the last thing I need is, you know, a 1,400-pound horse hallucinating, running around crazy.
Yeah.
on my property. But it took like 2 years to get rid of all of it. And now we're so on top of it because it just spreads. It goes crazy.
Huh. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look that up.
I'll send you a picture of it. It's a very strange looking plant. It looks like something from a movie.
Okay. Okay, well, this stuff, it says it's a precursor to LSD. So you might have been losing your limbs.
And your mind.
You didn't care. Okay. All righty then. Let's have anyway, didn't mean to get off, but I'm just thinking about how some grasses are different. Like this fescue grass here is nasty stuff. Yeah, and I won't buy it for hay. Okay. No. And because see, okay, living in Wyoming, we had all the desert grasses, you know. And then coming here, and I had Molly, our mare, and then we had her bred. And come to find out that when these mares, you have to take them off that fescue before they have their foals, because the sac will develop so thick that when they have the foal, the sac will not come off and the foal will smother.
It will die, yeah. The will die.
And so that is exactly what happened to that mare. And so I had no clue, you know. So there's just an example of a different kind of grass, like I don't know what kind of grasses they grow like in Africa, but like it would be similar to the grasses that we find out in the red desert
Yeah,
of
we've got a lot.
Wyoming. You know,
We've got a lot of the grass that grows here is more like kikuyu and buffalo grass,
yeah,
and but in the actual where I was up country, it's a different hardy type of grass that they've got this. I don't know what they call that grass, but it's not the same grass that we've got growing here. It's more of a desert grass, and they grow in basically arid type of areas. And those grasses, I mean, the wild animals eat them. I mean, horses eat them. And I mean, if you don't feed your horses, like overfeed them with grains and stuff, and they go just on that. Like this one woman had the horses just, and even the horses I did about 2 weeks ago, those horses were living out, I mean, just on this grass, and they are not being fed every day. So there's no like feeding time for them, or stuff like that. And they were all looking good on it. I mean, look, they weren't overweight, they weren't thin, and their feet grew like you can't believe, because their feet was very long. And I mean, everything, the horses were basically healthy. There was nothing that I could fault on them. I mean, they weren't fat like show ponies. I mean, they were just, for their size and their height, their weight was correct. And they weren't being fed. They were just living out like wild horses, basically.
was that the one?
So,
these were
the one that I
wasn't the
sent
one.
you video on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome.
And you see the grass in that area. That is the grass that they
yeah,
eat.
I noticed that, and that
it's a very
reminded me.
dry grass.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the grass in Wyoming on the Red Desert. The
Yeah,
country
that grass,
reminded me of the same.
yeah, it's a red. That was very red sand. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like red desert sand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. You know, but
Yeah,
see
so
here, I looked up fescue foot. Fescue foot is the result of loss of blood circulation to the foot and subsequent lameness. So if you have a horse that has laminitis and it's worse in the spring, okay,
yeah,
if you have a horse and he has laminitis, especially here in the United States, the
yeah,
grass, I would check out the grass. What kind of grass is he
exactly.
eating? Because if he's got laminitis anyway, he's got feet problems anyway. And so if he eats fescue, it's going to affect the
It's just gonna make it.
circulation in his foot. And so he could have a
He's
rebound.
gonna. Yeah, because you see, laminitis, the laminae starts dying off if they don't get that small capillaries don't get enough blood flow.
Yeah.
And when it starts dying off, that's when you get that basically what you call the laminar wedge. When it starts to rotate and pull away, and something's got to fill that void.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, okay. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about?
Just making it totally weird. It's Tiffany here. For plantar fasciitis, a good exercise is to grab towels with your feet, Linda, and pick them up off the ground.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really good. And also if you freeze a water bottle, like the round water bottle, and roll your foot out on that when you're having a flare up, that's also helpful.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's when your toes, is that when you, that's not the same as your, no, hammer toe is when your toes are starting to basically, it's almost like it's contracting. Am I right?
That's when you wear too high of a heel. Just kidding.
Oh. Where are we headed?
No problem. I don't think I'll get that then.
No, plantar fasciitis is something totally different, but a good way to maintain musculature in your foot to prevent it from hurting as much are towel grabs. You can sit down and do it. You don't have to be standing. So you can be doing it right now, and no one will know.
Hopefully I won't get Charlie horses.
Yes.
So basically you're going to use your foot fingers.
Correct.
Well, I don't know. Last week, I don't know what causes this, but I got Charlie horses in both legs. Have you ever had
what
that?
Is that?
Well, I mean, going from your ankle clear up to your rear end.
Ooh,
I
Oh,
was
no.
rolling on the
Oh.
floor.
Are you sure that's not
gosh.
sciatica?
that's
Well,
what I thought, Tiffany.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I'm both legs.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's probably what it was. I've had it in one leg before, okay,
Yeah.
where it put me down on the ground, but it was in
Yeah.
both legs. And
Yeah.
It must have been painful.
yeah,
Very.
it was horrible. It was awful. I was screaming and saying bad words.
That's allowed.
Okay, I figured in that case, you know,
Yeah,
and
you give your
apologizing
person
at
that.
I'm sorry, can't help it. Thank goodness though I prayed through it and it went away and stuff.
Wow.
God is pretty merciful. That's all I can say.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Yep.
hey, I'm gonna get out of here. So
Okay, dokie.
everybody have a great week. You're all awesome and happy trimming, okay?
Okay,
Thank
dokie.
you.
You keep well. Enjoy
Okay.
your week. And we'll
Thank
Thanks.
you
chat
and good
next
night.
week.
Be
Thanks
safe.
for sharing. Thanks, Riza. Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Hi,
everyone.
Linda.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you guys.